Hello, you wonderfully weird wombats. My name is Xal and welcome to my 100 Days in Stardew Valley, Part 3. It's time for Year 1's fall season to get its big old video, one that somehow's gotten even longer than summer's one. I'm either getting better at writing, or better at waffling. That's up to you. If you haven't caught up with either spring or summer's journey, I highly suggest you do so, unless you like being a little freak watching things out of order, in which case, pop off. That being said, let's not waste any time and jump right into fall's story. I hope you enjoy. Time to get up, breadsticks, the fall season is upon us. We're on to my personal favourite season, both in game and in real life. The crunchy leaves, the right temperatures, and all in all, it's just a cozier time of year. Everything about it just screams to me on a personal level. I mean, just look at my decorative plants. I've got little boxed mushrooms. And whatever these things are. Botany analysis will have to wait, as it's going to be quite the busy day, what with it being the first day of a brand new season and all. Before I leave the house, however, I do move my makeshift kitchen island over to the left one square, as it was annoying me that it wasn't symmetrical with the countertops. I also store away the rest of my decorations for when I have more time and grab the pumpkin seeds I got a while ago, then proceed to greet the fall breeze. It's always a sad sight to see everything you lovingly cultivated die, but hey, at least those hop plants won't be getting in the way anymore. I check my mail to be pleasantly surprised to see that Lewis has sent me a spaghetti recipe, mainly because I like spaghetti. I've rather disliked Lewis's correspondence in the past, although I'm going to choose to take this as an apology for his rather crappy attitude to me regarding his debaucherous ongoings. 8 out of 10 on the Xal would munch scale. I personally like mine a little spicy with dried onion and cheese on top. Lovely mix of savoury and crunchy. Next up, Linus informs me on how to make sashimi. At first this caught me off guard, but the more I thought about it, it makes sense that the wild man would know how to properly prepare raw fish, considering he raw dogs nature like an absolute beast. But unfortunately, it's a 5 out of 10 for me. I don't really want to screw around with raw fish like that. I love sushi rolls and I can get behind little bits of nigiri, but anything bigger than that, I'd rather just eat cooked. I'm sure it's good though, hence it not being ranked lower. Oh, a third recipe? This time from Willy? Minus 10 on the munch scale. Utterly diabolically rented, I can't. For those who don't know, I have a massive phobia of snails, worms, and slugs. The thought of eating one is just like, oh god, I can't. I'm sorry, Willy, the thought was nice and all, but I'd rather eat a didgeridoo. With that lovely image, shall we get to the day at hand? I immediately take to sorting out the morning chores with gusto, collecting produce and artisan goods along the way. I also noticed that my shed's now been built, but I'll get to that another day. And it takes some time to gather up anything I don't mind selling off to Pierre, as I need so much more money to do what I need to do today. I also make sure I plant the rare seed I got in front of Douglas before I do something stupid like forgetting about it. Gallivanting off for the day, I grab some of the new fall forage lying at the bus stop, pop into town and check the notice board. Nice of the request to finally show up. Oop, never mind, I take that back. Clint, I am sick of coal mining, piss off! And I enter Pierre's ready to do some wheeling and dealing. I'm able to make an extra 30 grand from selling off my hoard of inventory. Knew saving most of it would come in handy. Now I have free reign to go nuts on the fun part, buying this season's seeds. 10 fairy rose, 27 grape starter, 14 amaranth, 54 more pumpkin seeds, 126 cranberry, and 18 eggplant, yam, and bok choy seeds. Ah, my poor wallet! Marnie loves animals. Yeah, I bet you do, you dirty dog. Did I buy a lot of seeds? Yes. Did I accurately assess how much I needed of each? Fuck no! Not to startle our glorious gaze and dyscalculia impaired, but the maths behind the purchases do not match up at all. Firstly, I was buying under the assumption that each quality sprinkler watered 9 crops instead of 8, and thus purchasing in multiples of 9. Secondly, 14 amaranth is just downright silly. And thirdly, with the pumpkins, as I find out only after heading back to the farm, clearing out Archie's patch, rebranding said patch to Archie's pumpkin patch, trademark, and start to sow the seeds, I don't have enough to even finish the patch. So I end up having to sheepishly go back to Pierre's to purchase even more pumpkins. And even then, I buy 27, still purchasing in multiples of 9. I know it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but it just irks me to an absurd degree. Especially as I previously got this correct at the start of summer. Anywho, I've got a lot more planting to do and beginning of season faff to take care of. Good thing there's nothing to distract me from.
Foreshadowing as a narrative device.
Yeah, so I spend 4 hours fishing up salmon. My ancestral tree must contain a brown bear. I think the combination of never having done a fishing frenzy before and that salmon is by far my favorite fish just triggered the, oh, that sounds fun. Part of my brain. You can literally see my brain get hijacked when I spot the notification. Anyways, I catch a lot of salmon, adore how the salmon leap out of the water, even get a diamond and some coal out of the endeavor before I snap myself out of this fishy trance and get back to what needs to be done. Let me just smoke some of this salmon. Oh, got me salivating out here. Utterly scrumptious. Yes, so the pumpkin patch gets completed and fully watered before I make a start on my main patch, clearing the bottom 2 rows, planting 112 cranberries in the process. I'm also able to plant my eggplants and some of my beets before time regrettably gets away from me, leaving my crop field incomplete for now, but at least the main money makers are up and growing. And just like that, the first day of fall comes to a close. A rather chaotic start for this season's story, but a fun one nonetheless. Call me Mr. Fix-It, because that's exactly what I'm gonna do today. And I'm gonna jump straight to it by moving my flamingo to once again guard over the mail, the washing line so it connects to the house foundations, pet Clive for being just the sweetest little pupper, and systematically bonk my chest to line up in an orderly fashion against the house. No faffing about today, we stand on business. Next up, after making 3 more quality sprinklers and moving both my dehydrator and a couple of kegs out of the way, I set about fixing the top row of my main crop field by aligning my sprinklers in a row to slightly offset the existing pattern, allowing me to both maximize the space I have, but also in a way that will be aesthetically pleasing once it's all decorated. I then set up my dehydrator once again, along with 4 recycling machines that I made just a moment ago. It's time to start clearing out the trash. Looking at this chart, it should be immediately obvious what I'm looking for, and no, it's not coal for once, although that is a happy potential byproduct. I'm actually hoping for the 10% chance of cloth out of the newspaper scraps I have lying about, as that is one of the few things left for the community centre. We'll check back on this momentarily. The kegs get set back up running hops. What's that? Why didn't I just put them all in the shed that was made? Call me Mr. Fix-Ish. Oh look, I'm hoeing about. Ah, well that's unfortunate. No cloth for me. No matter, I need the torches too. There we go, all dug out and watered. I'll stick some more trash into the churners and it's time to plant. But first, did you know you can place torches onto sprinklers? Cause I sure as shit didn't. That'll light up the place nicely though. Anywho, grapes. Unlike the hops, I placed 3 sprinklers worth uniformly along the top row without blocking any of my chests. I also plant just enough amaranths to make me want to jump into the mountain lake and fill up the middle with bok choy. It's already so much nicer to look at. Now all that's left is the usual morning chores, with the only meaningful updates being refilling the recycling machines as and when it's needed, along with yoinking the accidental jar hops and replacing it with the intended blueberries. Also, my crimson fish is producing roe at an alarmingly fast pace. Not that I mind in the slightest, however. I'd be a fool to deny the type of money that little slippery boy brings in. Lastly, I grab a poppy along with selling off a gaggle of accumulated knickknacks before scooting off into town. Lewis and Robin are setting up what appears to be a second notice board. My ears perk up at the sign of more questing. Turns out I was correct, as it's a special notice board. Ooh! And I was partially wrong because Robin's the one who set it up while Lewis had his dick in his hands. Classic 1%. With Everlasting Farm back in business, the local economy has been really picking up. Lewis, I'm basically carrying the damn thing on my back at this point. You know what would help with that? If any of you read a damn book! Anyways, basically this board serves as a place where bigger requests can be posted. Robin even gives an example with the implication of unique rewards upon completion. I'm then given a really strange choice in dialogue. I can either reply with enthusiasm like a normal person, or like a mouth breather. I of course reply like a human, and I'm so glad I did because I would have missed out on Robin making a pun otherwise, much to the chagrin of dear Lewis. We'll check in on this board in a minute. First I've got to check the baby board. Willie wants 5 carp, which might as well just be a free prize ticket at this point. I enter PS to buy a few extra amaranth seeds and see that the ladies are in full Zumba fitness mode. I was gonna go and say hi, but I decided against it. It's girly time and I don't want to intrude. Plus, that just seems like a misunderstanding waiting to happen and I can't be asked. Let's instead have a look at that special notice board. I'm given the choice between cleaning up the valley or decimating the fish population. I mean, I'll need a tiger trout for the community centre anyway, so I'll lock into that for now. I then spot Penny watching over Vincent and Jazz and give her a birthday poppy. Happy birthday! Oh god, I made her cry. Please stop, I'm sorry. She might just be the sweetest person ever. Putting those new feelings away to unbox some other time, I head up to the mountain lake to fish for the next 5 hours, hunting for carp. I realise I could have just gotten my bait maker to speed this up, but Shut up! After an extremely uneventful time fishing, I go over to the train station to clear out the trees and fibre there, proceed to do the same behind Robin's house, and even destroy the backwoods of any signs of life. What? I want level 10 foraging, okay? Back on the farm, it's like stepping into a well-oiled machine. Not that you would ever do that, mind you, because that would be ridiculous, but anywho, I refilled the dairy machines, the kegs, jars, and recyclatrons, all while organising my chests, planting the last remaining amaranth, dumping off some blueberry jelly and another mug of ale to sell before getting into my bed just in the nick of time. I made another 8 grand today and can drift off to sleep thinking about what to do next. Among other things. I'm awake. Jeez Louise, it's one of those wet, miserable, and cheesed off spirit days today. God, I could use a pick-me-up. And as if to answer my plea for something positive, Emily sent me a gift in the mail. And what a gift it is, as it's a piece of wool. Practically giving me one of the missing community centre items on a silver platter. Thank you very much, Emily. You've proper perked me up. What on earth is that? You know what? I don't care. It's Emily. I should expect odd. Marnie's also sent me a letter asking me for a bunch of amaranth for her cows. It's incredibly welcome to have a somewhat normal interaction with her given our recent history. Although I don't quite understand, does she want 1 piece of amaranth or like half a dozen? Questions for when I've actually got some to give. For now, I set about using my accrued pine tar to make a singular loom, plonking the delivered wool in there to spindle away. Then it's on to the morning routine. Whilst going through the list, I noticed that I'm completely out of hay for my animals. Easy enough fix, but I'm glad I caught that. Wouldn't want you little rascals to go hungry, would we? I also finally make use of this little collection of crab pots I've had for a hot minute, setting them up in the pond near the animals for now. Whilst I can get freshwater fish from my farm, I'm mainly looking for trash, as any potential sources of extra coal, quartz, or cloth seem worth it to me. Adding another task to this ever-growing list. Speaking of tasks, my stonefish want 10 pieces of copper ore today, and as I collect all the other produce from the tens of things I have to do each morning or the little imp in my brain won't leave me alone, I find that I am able to complete the stonefish request, but barely. I've almost completely run dry of copper ore. Noting that down for a future day, enjoy your ore, little fish. Moving right along, I visit Marnie to buy some hay. Yes, I'm being a little lazy, I've earned it. Oh, I see you, Lewis. Don't think I don't know what you're coming over for. I refuse to confirm my suspicions because if I am right, I will be scarred for life. Anywho, let's focus on fishing. I'm here to get the 10 tiger trout for the special orders board. This is gonna take a while, so let's get to it. Hi, I'm interrupting this montage to let you know that my current money total spells the name of what was once believed to be the world's oldest dog. I just thought that was neat. There we go, 6 hours later and my first special orders quest is complete. Damn, that's a good chunk of change. With my constant need to complete quests satiated, I clear up the forest of some floor treats and even retrieve the trout derby chest that was abandoned like a dropped ice cream cone. A retrieval that is shorter-lived as I enter the secret woods only to find that there's a lot more going on here than I originally thought. And my inventory is jam-packed from fishing, leading to the chest being abandoned once again, but this time in the shade, along with other junk that I've been scrounging. Chanterelles have started to grow in these woods, which is great news for me considering my dehydrator. Also, the slimes are feeling a little blue at the moment, so I won't overstay my welcome. I clear out all of the hardwood and forageables before roaming into town, stealing from the bins like the little dumpster diving raccoon I am, or at least I would if there was anything in them. So instead I visit the pub, where quite a few people are spending their evenings. I came here to deliver on Willie's request for carp yesterday and receive some money and another prize ticket. Then I decide to be a little social sprog and buy a salad, which I promptly give to Leah because, and say it with me, it's a perfectly sociably acceptable gift to give to a woman. Chat with Abby and promise to save her a pumpkin from my patch once they're fully grown, and I even notice Shane in the corner, so I buy him a pizza, go to chat with him, and dick. Shane having soured my mood to socialise, I head over towards Lewis's house and see that I get prize tickets for completing special orders. As if I needed any more reasons to people please. This means I not only get to finally grab the big pink book, but also 6 mega bombs for future spelunking. Yay! Friendship 101. I of course speed read the book and obtain the power to make friends quicker. Man, if only it were that easy, huh? I then toddle off to the beach where I collect a couple of clams before realising my inventory is full once again. So I yo-yo to the other end of town and reach the community centre, where I donate a walleye I caught fishing today to the night fishing bundle, completing it and rewarding me with a glow ring. Whoa. I also throw one of my many tiger trouts from today into the riverfish bundle, which not only completes it, netting me 30 pieces of deluxe bait, let me just throw out this ring real quick, but it also means I've now completed the fish tank, meaning it's happy squeak time! Yay! Oh my god, there's fish in the fish tank. Oh, even the snail's kind of cute, actually. But this little guy is even cuter. Let's go, 3rd star. And a happy little dance to go with it. Hooray! Since I'm here, I carry on donating by throwing the salmon berry jelly I've had for an age into the artisan bundle, a blackberry I found foraging to the fall forage bundle, and finally an oak resin to the enchanters bundle. It's getting quite late, so I should be going. Bye, Junimos! Plopping along in the rain, I find a few more blackberries before I'm back home. Oh right, my cloth! I quickly yoink that along with the other bits of fall forage and speedily return to the community centre. Hi again, Junimos! The cloth is used to complete the artisan bundle, rewarding me with another keg. I'll take that. And lastly, a hazelnut and a plum are thrown into the fall forage bundle, completing it and giving me 30 more fall seeds for the faffing about. Okay, for real this time. Goodbye, Junimos! That little excursion cost me far too much time, so I end up prioritising making sure my animals are fed by laying out the hay I bought earlier, but time catches up to me and I pass out in my crop field. Muddy, wet, and with the time management skills slipping off of my CV. But at least the Junimos are enjoying themselves by this rock! That's cool, I guess. Good morning, you scrunkly skunks. I've been wanting to go to the Skull Caverns ever since fall started, but I kid you not, every day of fall so far has been a disastrously bad luck day, with today being no exception. Call me superstitious, but I'd rather delve into hell with the spirits relatively on my side. If anything, I would prefer... Who's at my door? Turns out it's Emily. What a pleasant surprise. The pleasantries continue as she compliments my farm. Well, aren't you sweet? It's getting there. Turns out she's here because she discovered that I've acquired cloth. A bit of a lackluster reveal considering she mailed me the fucking thing. But she also explains that I can use cloth to make various articles of clothing and lets me know I can use her sewing machine if I ever want some new threads. Thank you very much, you little strange bean. I will definitely pop over the next time I get cloth. For now, however, I checked my mail where Demetrius has enclosed a thank you letter for helping with his ichthyology research and given me a recipe for a farm computer. Sure. Thanks, I think. Jojacore makes its bi-monthly appearance to remind me just how money-grubbing they truly are, followed by Pierre somehow reversing my expectations of him and giving me money? Granted, it's via a stock message, but I do somehow still feel appreciated. Speaking of appreciation, who's the best little pooch in the valley? Alright, time to get to the usual morning collections. There we go. As the normal morning routine comes to a close, I decide to work on a project I've been thinking about for quite a while now. But first I need to clear up all this wild grass by the pond. I need to make and collect a couple of things as well, after remaking and fixing another treasure bubble for my rod, along with making tea saplings from yesterday's fall seeds. I make 3 regular sprinklers. Yes, bear with me. You see, it's about time I start on a little flower patch. I got a great suggestion during the summer epilogue to use this unoccupied space to introduce flowers and bees into my farm's economic empire. I did originally plan for it to be over by Archie's newly refurbished pumpkin patch. However, I think I like it over here just a little bit better, at least for now. And as of now, I have a couple of fairy rose flowers growing and sprinkled, ready to go. Guarded by the only guardian up for the task. A giant raccoon. Duh! This inspiration came to me after looking at this photo of a raccoon among purple flowers. Now my headcanon is that he's paid with honey and accepts tummy scritches only on Tuesdays. I can't say Tuesdays without the chew. I'm British, okay? Deal with it. To support this headcanon, however, I'm going to need to swallow my pride. So I sell off my artisanal goods and head off into town where I buy 60 coal from Clint. I know, I don't like putting money into the pocket of this absolute turd burglar, but I need the coal to make bee houses. And it's either this or talk about coal mining for at least a week, and I cannot tell you how repugnant of an idea that is to me. Pride swallowed and wallet thoroughly hoard out, I take the cart to the mines where I convert all of my bug meat into bait for my farm crab pots, and proceed to work on yet another side mission I've needed to do for quite a while. Since I can't go to the Skull Caverns yet, I figured I'd hunt down the last remaining remaining dwarf scroll, in addition to beefing up my copper reserves. Now, I was prepared to do this for a while, however I find it in about 30 minutes after slaying a bug. Considering this is a 0.5% drop chance, I'm feeling pretty lucky. With the final dwarf scroll obtained, I'll gain access to quite a valuable reward later down the road. I continue to mine for another 3 hours, collecting iron and copper where I can, before I remembered that the Junimos were playing by the rock just outside last night. Curious if anything had changed, I step outside and find that I've magically teleported to the other side of the bridge. Watch out, buttered shrimps, I'm a magic man now. Willie is surveying the area as the boulder has been mysteriously removed. I wonder who's responsible for that. And as such, the stream now flows from within the mountain, carrying in its current all sorts of ores and minerals, meaning it's perfect for panning. Willie, being the ever so gracious donator of spare tools, gives me my very own copper pan and tells me to keep an eye out for these little glistening spots. Can't say I've ever panned for anything in my life, but I'm excited to give it a go. After saying goodbye to Willie, I stopped by the Adventurers Guild as it's been a while. Checking the eradication goals, I'm making decent progress, especially on the dust sprites, so that's good to know. I also check Marlon's stock and notice that he's selling other galaxy weapons, like the hammer and dagger. I had no idea you could get different versions of the galaxy weapons, let alone buy them. That's so cool! I really want to try out the dagger at some point. Give me that speedy pokeboy. Yeah. With newfound excitement for future purchases, I proceed to chop down all of the trees on this side of the mountain lake. I mean, come on, when's the next time I'm gonna come back here? And I spend the rest of the night in the mines, where after bringing up my dust sprite quota to an even 300, delve into the early floors looking for coppers, duggies, crabs, and whatever I can get my plunderous little mitts on. I found an emerald node. That's rare down here, right? Sprinting back home at 11 PM and dunking all of my mining goodies, I use all of my coal making 8 bee houses. It hurts my soul to see that much coal disappear, but look at my budding honey empire. It's gonna be great. The night ends with me making some more fall seeds, chopping down some trees, collecting another round of artisan goods to bung in for selling, and getting distracted by my blueberry jam being finished, causing me to pass out on the front porch like a total dingus. A dingus that made nearly 30 grand for being a diligent little guy in the farm maintenance department. It may not be the most exciting aspect of Stardew Valley, but it paves the way for all of the fun stuff. And I have bees now! Yay! Alright, time to wake up and slay the day. Please, spirits, be in a good mood. Oh, come on, who's shat in your cornflakes? Cheer up, you mopey little sprites. It's fine, I'll just find something else to occupy my time. The skull caverns can wait. Maybe the mail can give you some good news. 13 gold? Oh no, the horror. Oh dear, Harvey, that's a horrible business model. With my spirits perked up, I noticed the falling leaves carried by the breeze. It's honestly quite lovely. On to business as usual though. I collect my first round of dried purple mushrooms. That'll be worth a pretty penny. My ice pips are calling for my attention once again. This time they're wanting 5 frozen tears. Not even a remotely difficult task. Have that, you silly little guys. The fish are swimming in circles. I'm going to choose to believe that's a good thing and not the myriad of bad things it could indicate. And I set about gathering all of my hecking gatherables. Yoinking my mayo, my cheese, my snails, and milking all my...
We're practically starving here.
I forgot to open the barn door yesterday. Continuing on, I chop down some trees growing close to the barn, sell off a round of morning goods, and pick up some deluxe speed grow I've been saving and sprinkle that over the fairy roses I'm planting. We got any raccoon motivation for today? Ta-da! Aw, thanks little guy. I should probably name you. Henceforth, you are dubbed Rolo, Guardian of the Roses. Moving on to Cindersap Forest, I check the travelling cart in the hopes of finding a red cabbage for the community centre, and once again I am disheartened by the selection. I could obtain it in other ways, hell even buy it outright in year 2, but I'd like to complete the centre by the end of the first year as a totally original goal, and the travelling cart being generous and providing said cabbage would just be the quickest and most convenient way of getting it. Into the secret woods we go. I reclaim my trash chest and clear out all of the stumps in the area, and repeat my tree clearing habits along the way into town. George is getting his mail, or at least trying to, when Penny notices him struggling to reach the letter at the back of the mailbox. Being the kind soul she is, she offers to help and wheels him out of the way? Is that allowed? Anyway, she retrieves the mail only to then receive an angry outburst from George, presumably out of indignation and most likely frustration given his situation. That's when I magically appear from behind Gus's pub, because that's where all the cool kids hang out. Regardless, I get to voice my opinion on the matter. Whilst the third option of minding my own damn business is quite literally the truth, I respond saying that Penny did a kind thing because she honestly did. You're welcome. George ends up regretting his outburst after seeing Penny's sincerity. With the matter patched up and everyone called off, he wheels himself indoors, and Penny then contemplates the difficulties of growing older. Again, I'm given a dialogue choice, and goodness gravy, that fourth answer is bleak as hell. Steering away from the edgy answer, I respond with it's just a different part of life, as I do think about it, and respect is earned, not granted by default. We then have a rather deep conversation about mortality before Penny has to leave to continue her day. Honestly, what she says makes a lot of sense. We spend so much time worrying about the future, we forget to live in the here and now. There's something so poetic about understanding. Oh my god, Sam's doing kickflips in the street. Woo, you got this! As the day rolls into the afternoon, I visit the museum to donate the last of the Dwarven Scrolls. Not only does this mean that I get a new reward, that being the Dwarfish translation guide allowing me to speak Dwarvish, shocking I know, but this also marks the 60th donation for the museum. For those of you who don't know what that means, let's just say we're gonna have quite the interesting day tomorrow. Having completed my Duolingo lesson though, I checked the notice board to see that Sam wants an aquamarine. Easy peasy. So I head back home, collect some more blueberry jelly, replace the loom with the reclaimed forest chest, yoink an aquamarine from my stockpile, and head on back out. Before going back to town though, I pop over to Robin's where I purchase a few floor patterns for future decorating, and spend nearly my entire net worth on constructing a deluxe barn. A hefty purchase I know, but I need me some pigs, and by extension truffles to complete, you guessed it, the community centre. And my window to get truffles before year one ends is getting tighter and tighter. Can you tell these deadlines are stressing me out? Well, the stress train doesn't stop, as when I make my way to the pub in search of Sam, Emily pins me to the front door and remarks on what a beautiful day it is. Emily, please, people will get the wrong idea if they see this. She then whispers into my ear quite possibly the most terrifying sentence, which definitely hasn't been taken out of context in the slightest to fit a narrative I want to tell. You know what, Penny? Maybe dying young is something I'll actually have to worry about after all. Luckily, the door to the pub falls open and I can scamper away before Emily somehow makes this weirder. I'll deal with whatever that was another day. For now, here's your aquamarine, Sam. It nearly cost me my life. I then make a detour to the beach, as my pockets are less full than the last time I was here, and I can actually steal all of the beach forage before running into Elliot. Yeah, man, I know the feeling. Oh shit, it's your birthday today. Have this sea urchin that I definitely got for you with love and thought. Woo, avoided that social faux pas. My social battery is absolutely shot, so I return home to do some farm maintenance for the rest of the evening. Firstly, I knock out all of the trees in the bottom right of my lands, drink a jar of blueberry jam because it's the absolute tits, and after depositing today's goodies, scoop up all of my kegs and preserve jars and move them into the shed finally. Doesn't that look all nice and neat now? Can't wait to see how much money all this crimson fish roe makes. Continuing my productive night, I carry on chopping trees near the northwest in the hopes of clearing out this little extra island. Turns out a giant mushroom has grown here. I did some digging and turns out this is an incredibly rare event in fall, as there's only a 5% chance of overnight mushroom trees being grown. Furthermore, when you hit that 5% chance, which is already hard enough, the game picks 10 random tiles on your farm, and if by some miracle one of them has a fully grown tree on it, boom! Mushroom tree. I can't cut this down, it's one of nature's oddities. He's just like me, for real. I do clear out the rest of the island though, and uncover what appears to be a shrine with a letter attached to it. Wait, Grandpa? Wait for my return on the dawn of your 3rd year.
Well, that's f***ing ominous.
Back to work I go, trying not to think about that alarmingly threatening letter, or the fact that my grandpa's ghost is haunting me. I sell off some more artisan goods and use all of my copper bars I have to make another 8 tappers, affixing them to my oak trees for more kegs. Once again though, I've ignored the concept of time and end up passing out in my cranberry field. It's been a very busy day. Hopefully tomorrow will be a little bit easier. Oh, never mind, it's worth it. We got the funny number. We win, Stardew. Pack it up, go home. We win. Haha. Oh, what are the fucking odds, man? Having gained my composure from the golden funny number yesterday, I'm ready to hop back on the saddle and eat that horse. No, it's a scuffed figure of speech. I'm not actually going to... Anyway, the spirits are neutral today, which I'm not too fussed about as I have some fun plans for today. And would you look at that? Here's the catalyst for said fun. Gunther's here to thank me for all of the donations I've been making to the museum. Thanks to that, the museum itself has won the Golden Shovel Award for its contributions to scientific study. Fun fact, the Golden Shovel is also the name of a really interesting poem that essentially Frankensteins together a poem using lines from other ones to tell a unique tale. I just thought that was neat. Anyways, as thanks for my contributions, Gunther hands over a 100-year-old key that's been gathering all sorts of rust and muck. Now, if you all remember way back in spring, I found Jazz and Vincent playing in the rain, and they mentioned that Gunther had the key to the sewers. Can you guess where we're going today? Ah? Thank you very much, Gunther. Have a lovely rest of your day, man. After seeing that the local ding-dongs tried to rummage through my pockets last night, I set about collecting my very own homegrown ding-dongs, along with my bok choy. I also put another row of torches on my sprinklers as my recycling machines are slowly churning them out. As if I'd be caught dead making my own torches, please. The bok choy is replaced with a sprinkling of yams as I make my way into my shed, build a chest, and no, I will not be distracted by another fishing advert. I proceed to dunk anything I plan on kegging and jarring in the future, slowly getting this place more organized, one day at a time. Now it's on to the morning collections, nothing we haven't seen before. The only thing of note that happens is that I forgot to refill the crab pots with bait. Does it matter? No, not really, but as a teeny tiny bit of a perfectionist, it felt like my bones were on fire when I noticed. Completely normal reactions aside, I get everything all squirreled away and trot along into town, where I once again check the plebeian help desk where Demetrius wants 4 smallmouth bass. Mate, should I just teach you how to fish at this point? I mean, that would be a terrible idea, as that would deprive me of all sorts of benefits, but like, actually, never mind. Keep being incompetent. I head down south to fish, demonstrating the daily life of a socially anxious person by swerving away from any sort of interaction, and spend an hour and a half catching those squiggly smallmouth bass. Once that obligation was finished, I head over to the great conveniently labelled sewer, unlock it with the rusty key, and delve into the underbelly of Pelican Town. Oh god, it's so green and it absolutely reeks down here. Isn't that right, mysterious shadow person? This is Krobus, merchant of exotic goods and the literal definition of just a little guy. Krobus here, while setting up shop in quite possibly the worst location for a sustainable profit margin, does sell a lot of really interesting things. First, he holds another star drop, which I'll have to come back and purchase once I have the cash. Horrifyingly, I can buy powder that eliminates a pet of mine. You won't ever see me buying that. And a return scepter for... absolutely fucking not. Something I do immediately buy, however, is his dish of the day. That being 5 servings of pumpkin soup. That'll be super useful for the Skull Caverns. Look at those buffs. Hell, I'll drink one now. Drink? Do you drink or eat soup? Not having the brain power to dwell on that particular topic, I set about my real purpose for being here. I'm hunting for another legendary fish. That's right, with the sewers now open, I can hunt for the mutant carp. The fact that fish have to live in this sewage does kind of break my heart a little, especially given the implication of carps mutating after exposure to the seemingly radioactive waste this village pumps out on the regular. But then maybe the mutant carp is causing the damage. Who knows? I sure don't after spending 5 hours fishing up more algae than fish. This carp is being disastrously stubborn, so I decide to take a moment to check out the rest of the sewers. I come across the Statue of Uncertainty, or a Statue of Me depending on who you ask, where I can change all of my professions around for a crisp 10k. I might make use of this later. I try to go through this dark hallway and get told in no uncertain terms to fuck off, and I double check to see if I now have the shortcut to Cindersap Forest. I do indeed. Surveillance of the area complete, I absent-mindedly cast my rod into the sewage and oh god, it's happening! Ta-da! The mutant carp. What an absolute munter. And the chest I caught along with it provides me with coal and some mutant carp roe. Is it my birthday? With a rather successful sewer trip under my belt, I decide to gallop over to the mountain lake where I find Abigail asking me if I've got any scarecrows. Well... he is scary, I'll give you that. Anyways, what I'm really here for is the mines. Meet the dwarf. And shockingly enough, thanks to the dwarfish translation guide, I can now talk to him. Crazy, I know. Can I just say, I love how the dwarf looks. Anything with a Vivi-inspired look makes me instantly like the design. Look at his little ears! Oh, I can't. The dwarf, much like Krobus, acts as a shop, but this one's more geared towards tools for mining, like bombs, health potions, those kinds of things. I do buy another rare crow as I have a crippling collectible problem, and I buy another book called The Dwarven Safety Manual, which upon reading it grants me a 25% resistance to bombs. Handy for my clumsy little butt. Since I'm here and I have a few hours to kill, I bid farewell to the dwarf and replicate his ancestral profession by mining the night away. Well, I say mining, I'm more hunting for duggies than anything, but that didn't fit my segue, did it? Regardless, I do find a couple to add to my slaughter quota and gather a decent chunk of coal before heading home for the night. Once home, I set about putting another row of copper bars on the go, collect the majority of my stockpile of animal produce, refill all that needs to be refilled, sell off a vast quantity of produce and junk, and risk passing out in the middle of my house to pet my dog, before surprisingly making it to my bed and passing out like the little tired crumpet I am. I make 12.5 grand from today and get a good night's sleep, because tomorrow, I repeat, tomorrow is the day. This is not a drill, people. We're going to the Skull Caverns today. Yippee! But first, I've got to watch my favorite Sunday morning cooking show. Today, I learned how to make tortillas. If you pronounce it tortilla, I will bury you next to Archibald. I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10 on the Xals Munch scale. Even though, like bread, this is extremely vague, there's just so many good variations of tortillas. There's the classic wrap, which is just chef's kiss. There's Spanish tortillas, which almost resembles an omelette. Hell, even tortilla chips absolutely bang. Much yum. Very munch. On to the day at hand. I've got a few things to take care of on the farm. Firstly, I make another 5 kegs, as well as collect all of my explosives and cave snacks I've been saving for today. I then collect a round of pale ales along with plonking down the aforementioned kegs to expand my beverage empire, in addition to of course refilling them. Next up is the morning rounds, as all of my animals and my crab pots need seeing to. My barn is now officially completed, as shown by this fancy new conveyor belt, ready to deliver hay at a moment's notice. Although I don't quite have enough money for a pig yet, so I'll wait until next Wednesday, where hopefully I'll have enough for a couple of them. My crimson fish roe is ready, along with my mushroom logs and 10 more servings of maple syrup. You know what that means? More bee houses are on the horizon! At least when I get more coal. Because of course. With my trash recycled, junk sold, items deposited away, and Clive hecking petted and loved, I set off to take care of some outstanding obligations. The first being to check the travelling cart, only to be once again disappointed by the lack of a cabbage. And no, the selection of colourful foods did not make up for that. I did consider buying a duck feather, but I'm sure my ducks will start giving me those soon, right? Right? Praying they'll yield their little butt plumage to me one day. I gallivant all the way back through the backwoods to Robin's, where I turned in the smallmouth bass I fished up yesterday to Demetrius. Thank you for the 200 gold, my man. While I'm here, I check in with Robin and look over what buildings I can purchase. I need another pond for my mutant carp to get that up and running, but I'm also thinking about getting a slime hutch depending on how well this expedition to the Skull Caverns go. Speaking of which, I'm almost ready to head out to the desert. I pop into town to pick up the notice board request, and for the love of God, Demetrius, you should just give me an actual salary at this point. I take on the request just on the off chance I find some crabs while delving, and I also spot Haley as I'm on my way to the bus stop, who tells me she's never been to the forest for quite possibly the most Disney princess ass reason I've ever read. I don't even get time to process that response before I'm on the bus and in the desert. I make a mad dash for the cave entrance, down a spicy eel for good luck, and take a deep breath. I am so glad I finally get to say, welcome to the Skull Caverns. So, what makes this place so vastly different and has given me reason to hold off on it for as long as I did? Well, first of all, this dungeon is truly randomly procedurally generated, meaning every single time you come in here, every single floor is going to be different. If we take a look at floor 41 of the regular mines, for instance, that floor is the same layout every single time. I know what's going to spawn there, what's not, and I can pretty much guess what will be there with good accuracy. Not only do I not have that advantage for the Skull Caverns, but there is no checkpoint. So if I need to dip out, I'll start on floor 1 with an entirely new random dungeon to crawl through. It's a little bit intimidating, but with that being said, there's some ridiculous upsides, and I'll go through them as and when we find them. Oh, would you look at that? I found one! You see, any floor layout that has coal involved, either via minecart or satchel, has a chance to spawn, meaning in theory, more coal. Mom, Xals talking about coal again? The monsters populating this dungeon have both increased in threat level and reward. Well, everything except for these armoured bugs, which to my knowledge can't be killed. Fuck knows what training regimen they went through to get so strong. The slimes have turned to a garish purple and come in both macro and mini variants. The former can explode into minis, and the minis themselves are assholes. They drop iridium bars and ore, which I just happened to luckily get from my first gaggle slaughter. I proceed through the first couple of floors without much incident until the third and final beastie, for today at least, appears. The Royal Serpent. Think of him as a homing missile whose wife you previously insulted, because he will gun for you and will not stop until you're in a hospital. This little bugger is arguably what the Skull Caverns is most known for, but I've just got to be patient and let him come to me is all. For now, this is as complicated as the Skull Caverns are gonna get. It gets more dangerous the further in you get, but right now, I'm just on a scavenger hunt. There's so many valuable things to get, and I'm aiming for floor 25 for Mr. Key's quest, so let's get to it. I find a stack of boxes in the center of floor 3 and decimate them all for all sorts of trinkets, even picking up a pair of Prada genie shoes. Ooh, fancy. Floor 4 gets me some topaz and another cart of coal. Floor 5 is another cinnamon swirl layout with box treasures at the end. Ooh, another battery pack. Floor 7 is cinnamon swirl part 2. However, it's cut short after I use a bomb on some rocks to reveal a hole? Without a care in the world, I jump in and fall 7 floors further into a slime-infested hell pit. Hooray for me! Another lovely feature of the Skull Caverns is those holes, acting as a shortcut but can be dangerous in its own right. After decimating these slimes, I go about bombing my way through the next few floors, demonstrating the sheer efficiency of explosive exploration, and why I've saved the big bombs for the big cave. Floor 18 I get stuck on for an embarrassingly long time. I was bombing everywhere looking for the stairs, squelching an entire pride of slimes, even finding more coal in the process, only for the stairs to already be revealed in the last corner I checked. But hey, I've got some new ideas to sleep on. I sign up for the Royal Rumble on the next floor because everyone wants a piece of me, but the payout of another Iridium bar is so worth it. Also, fun fact, the serpents also can drop bombs on death. Just a nice little way to replenish your stock of doomsday tools. I also find another batch of barrels, so let me just suck all that up. It's midnight and I'm only on floor 20. Gotta really hope these bombs clutch up. Bomb once, stairs. Bomb twice, stairs. Bomb thrice, hole! Yes! I jump in, reaching floor 28 and completing my goal for Mr. Key. I am then promptly escorted out by this fine gentleman of a snake, as it's way past due that I return to the valley for the night. Now that I'm back, I can look over what I got today. 40 pieces of coal, are you kidding me? Wow, I got a good amount of iridium, geodes, and a whole assortment of ores and other knickknacks. Not bad for a first run through. I did cut it a little late tonight, so I only have time for shutting the animal doors and putting on the iridium and some copper to smelt overnight before I'm snuggled up in bed so chuffed with today's exploits. Oh, and it gets better as I reach level 8 combat, allowing me to craft a slime incubator, meaning I might genuinely get that slime hutch, but I also hit level 10 mining, which means the chance of me finding coal is doubled now. We've made it out of the Dark Ages, people. Coal will bend to my will and serve my every purpose. Oh, I'm so glad I've got that now. Saddle up, guinea pigs. The first week of fall is over. And with that comes the return of the spirit's disposition of one who's had their breakfast soiled via a hefty poo. I think they're just mad I made out with a pair of genie shoes yesterday, thereby further crediting my claim of being the magic man. Regardless, it's the start of another Operation week, but I'll get to that in a little bit as an absurd amount of things have occurred on the homestead. So let's start with the mail. Firstly, for completing Mr. Key's quest yesterday, I'm rewarded with a lump sum of 10 grand. It baffles me that a random eccentric stranger has a stronger drive to award competence than our current mayor, but dare I say not surprising in the least. Emily sent me another piece of wool, I assume in an attempt to get me to visit her house, as I promised I would the next time I got cloth. If I don't make it to 100 days, assume it was Emily. Finally, Linus is in a panic as it's currently blackberry season, but he's lost his berry basket. As an avid forager myself, I've got to help this guy get his berries. Speaking of getting stuff, shall I go over what's new on the farm? The delectable cranberries are in. Listen to the plops. My beets are also ready, which is nice, but the cranberries! Well over 200 of them ready for selling. I replaced the yoinked beets with a round of broccoli and 2 sprinklers worth of pumpkins before I notice an empty spot on the left. I know I planted there, so a crow must have gotten to my produce. Refusing to let that happen again, meet the nameless dwarf guardian. He does not talk. He is shy. Next up, using 25 coal, ouch my heart, I make my very first slime egg press, allowing me to convert my slime pile into slime eggs, which will become relevant later. And I use the rest of the coal to make a couple extra bee houses. I put Emily's second wool piece in for a spindle and collect a row of row, only to see that my first round of honey is ready for taking. It's just wild honey for now, so it's not that exciting, but getting this amount of honey every 4 days is hardly a bad thing, much like how my ancient fruit has started to, well, bear fruit. Douglas over here has been working tirelessly watching over my most valuable crop. Say thank you to Douglas. He's sensitive and needs affirmation. I won't be doing anything with this fruit until I get my greenhouse up and running, so for now, I'll just tuck this away. My ducks finally shook out one of their feathers for me. About time, honestly. I was getting quite concerned about the lack of feathers until now. And lastly, my crimson fish roe has now been aged. To put it into perspective just how much of this I have enough to refill the preserve jars with both crimson fish and mutant carp roe. I'm absolutely swimming in legendary fish eggs. Out of curiosity, how much does this sell for? Oh, good lord. Okay, that's a lot. So glad I sunk time into all my various side hustles. God damn. We're not quite done with the farm for today, however, as I need to go over Operation Munchies. By the way, if you've never had munchies before, you're missing out. This week's operation only has 2 major points for me to focus on. Firstly, I need to prep for the upcoming Stardew Valley Fair on the 16th. Most notably a Grange display where I can showcase my farmhand talents by showing off various items I've collected. This is probably Stardew Valley's most complicated festival activity, and I'll go into further detail on the finer points of how it works on the day of the festival. However, if I want to win and get the new trophy in 1.6 associated with it, I'll have to go out of my way to get a few things as I play out this week. And secondly, I want to fill out my barn with pigs, as well as get my very own slime hutch. We all know I'm an animal guy at this point, and I want more cuddly little creatures roaming my property. Plus, I've never personally reared slimes before, and it sounds like a lot of fun. A very simple operation this week, so let's smash it. Well, maybe that was a poor choice of words, as the very first item I'm going to be bringing to the fair is this iridescent chicken egg. So, better not smash it. After selling off a bunch of produce, along with my hundreds of freshly picked cranberries, I can set off on today's adventure outside the farm. Scooting past Pam in an inexplicably uncrashed bus, I followed a road leading out of town. Blackberry season is upon us, leading to the bushes being abundant with fruit, which I plan to take full advantage of yoinking them over the coming days. Linus's basket is also just strewn by the side of the road. Stepping into this, not only is it dark as dicks, but there's a battery-powered lockbox needing a certain item. Can you guess what item it needs? If you didn't say a battery, I weep for your IQ. Placing a battery inside, instead of lighting up the place like I thought it would, instead sets off a convoluted quest by none other than Mr. Key, who just seems intent on making me jump through hoops for his amusement at this point. He can wait, however. We've got shit to do. Popping into town, I check the notice board and pick up a request from the wizard to slay 2 ghosts, before heading over to Robin's and commissioning yet another pond. This one's for the mutant carp I caught a few days ago. Thank you for always working on my farm in some capacity, Robin. I step outside and rummage a few more bushes for berries before finding Linus staring out at the mountain lake and returning his basket. Aw, you're welcome, buddy. Linus then laments over the glistening boulder having been removed, in an oddly sincere showcase of sentimentality over something I didn't even give a second thought over. It's just honestly quite endearing, and I like it. A panning spot?
Shimmy, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yeah.
Cool. I stop into the mines and retrieve my stack of slime, now that I have a use for it, and work on some of the quests I've had stockpiled. I do start looking for 5 crabs, but end up deciding to bin it off for no other reason than sheer boredom. Ooh, an emerald. So I go into the ice floors, where after an hour of meandering, slay my 2 spectral targets in addition to a small gaggling of ice cave dwellers that just so happen to congregate at the end of my sword. Not wanting to stay in the mines during blackberry season, I take the backwards home, scrounging whatever I can along the way, and after dumping off my goodies and putting some gold ore onto smelt, realize I'm a big dumb stupid idiot baby and I've blocked off my horse's easiest method of travel with my new fish pond placement. Luckily, I have just enough space to squeeze through my trees, but I'm recognizing that I'm the cause of my inconveniences, which is a humbling realization. Anywho, I proceed into Cindersap Forest for the remainder of the night to once again delve into bushes for sweet treats. I do of course stop by the secret woods to hoover up both wood and berries alike, as I can feel foraging level 10 getting ever closer. I then visit the wizard for a late night booty call, and by booty call I mean turning in his request like a totally normal good Samaritan. Yay, another prize ticket! The wizard also drops the absolute bombshell that he's seen into my future, but of course being an absolute cock tease, he refuses to elaborate. Well, why mention it at all, man? Come on! I shall now leave your abode in a huff. I carry on scrounging well into the night, and it's not until past midnight that I realise I haven't checked the special request board. It refreshes quests at the start of every week, which I just plumb forgot about. So I take a shortcut through the sewers and reach the board, where I'm given the choice between getting a bunch of gems for Emily for a cleansing rock session with the girlies, or to accumulate 100 bone fragments for Gunther in the aid of research. As much as being in the presence of Emily has been downright awkward recently, I'm pretty sure I have all of the gemstones already, so I decide to bite the bullet and accept this request, in the hope she'll stop pinning me to doors if I help her out. That being said, the only thing I can do tonight is to rush back home in the dead of night, put a couple of fish to smoke on while I sleep, and actually make it to bed without getting a face full of dirt in the process. Small victories and all that. What isn't small, however, is my massive influx of over 42,000 gold from all of my sellables today. You know what that means. Pigs are on the horizon! Did you know pigs don't have sweat glands? Yeah, get hit with a pig fact, you little rapscallion. Clive loves me! Oh, and he gave me a pet rock. Oh, you cute little dog. I love you you do. You snuggle up all nice on the carpet, Clive. I've got some errands to attend to. Lewis, I have already explained the upcoming Stardew Valley Fair. Were you even listening to Operation Munchies? Maybe if you got your head out of Marnie's thighs every once in a while, you'd pay better attention. Speaking of Marnie, her amaranth is now ready to be picked, and quite honestly, this might be my favourite looking crop so far. It's replaced with some more beets, and I collect my round of overnighted goodies by the stable, the most notable one being this shiny green egg. Not only does it sell for quite a bit, it's vital for rearing slimes once I've gotten a slime hutch. However, I'm on the hunt for a specific colour of slime egg, so this one will be put away for a rainy day. Well, a different one, not today. You get what I mean. Oh, do you hear that? Sounds like the rambunctious ongoings of a morning routine montage starting. Hooray! Now all that's left is to sort out what I need for today, making sure I get all those fancy gems for Emily mainly, before heading out for adventure. You damn well know I'm still being a little bush fiend and berry picking absolutely everywhere I can. Blackberry season stops for no one, much like my incessant need to check the notice board. Today's quest tasks me to slay 8 red slimes for quite a respectable grand. Don't mind if I do. Without any dilly-dally, I head over to Emily's with a spring in my step and a hopeful demeanour, only to be immediately slapped in the face as I step into a sibling domestic. They appear to be arguing over sofa cushions and house chores, and I've already lost interest in being a part of this conversation. My interest further declines when Haley demonstrates that she still doesn't know my fucking name. I have been here for half a year. Thank you, Emily. At least someone in this house has a brain. Haley confidently reckons I'll get her point of view, which, whilst unlikely, is unashamedly brazen, given I'm background character B in her eyes. And sure enough, turns out this entire argument is due to Emily asking Haley to clean the cushions. I do not care. I pipe up suggesting that this be her one weekly job because God forbid Princess over here does multiple selfless things in a week, a compromise she begrudgingly accepts, concluding this utter waste of time. My grapes having been somewhat soured, I do speak to Haley against my better judgment after that kerfuffle, only to be met with what can only be described as a first world problem which makes any attraction I had to this person shrivel up and die. Not that there was much to begin with, mind you. Here's your gems, Emily. Enjoy your fancy rock ceremony. Thank you for the bag, and I'm sorry for what you have to deal with on the daily. Man, I could really use a pick me up. I head over to Marnie's, and as it's raining today, the usual Tuesday yoga with the girls is cancelled. I get to purchase 2 little piggies, Hamilton and Wallace. Welcome to the family, you chunky little lads. Furthermore, I finally get an answer to how much amaranth Marnie wanted. It was 1. Kind of obvious in hindsight, but like, anyway, at least the cows will be happy. Thank you for another 500 gold. Whilst meandering Cindersap Forest looking for blackberries, I spot Xals auditioning to be a jump rope girl. She takes her practice very seriously. I then enter the secret woods to do my usual ritualistic clear out. I think cutting down stumps in the rain is one of my favourite pastimes in the valley. It's just so relaxing. And look at all these berries! The plundering continues through the rest of Cindersap until I make my way back into town, where I pick up another prize ticket from the special orders board and invade Lewis's home to turn them in, getting a sports cap and another dehydrator for my efforts. I hate the hat. You know what? I'm gonna make my own. Emily did say I could use her sewing machine after all, so after making my way to her house and fumbling around the shelves trying to discern what a sewing machine looked like, I settled down with some cloth, weaved some maple syrup into it like a master craftsman, to create a floppy beanie. Now that's more like it. Proper got that disenchanted hipster look down to a T. Now with proper headwear obtained, you might be wondering why I didn't just buy 4 pigs earlier like I normally would do when it comes to animals. Well, that's because the bookseller is in town today. Although to be honest, considering his selection and pricing, I kinda wish I bought the pigs. No matter, I pick up a copy of Woodcutter's Weekly for a little boost to the old foraging skill and make my way over to the mines, being a little berry whore along the way. Hello, dwarf. I would like 5 servings of Minus Treat if you please, thank you. I'll save those for another day. For now, I'm just gonna reset floor 81 of the mines, hunting for red slimes. We all know what this floor looks like, so it's a pretty standard... Huh? Wait, why has this floor changed? What happened to my cozy, compact little farming spot? If you're like me and were baffled by this sudden change, allow me to explain. So from what I can tell, this happened because I reached the bottom of the mines, causing 20 random floors of my regular mines to change. But Zal, you got to the bottom of the mines at the end of spring. How does that explain things? I'm glad you asked, little demon creature. It doesn't. My best guess is that it triggered when I entered the skull caverns for the first time, as that's the only factor I can think of that's different from the last time I entered the mines. So yeah, welcome to the new floor 81, I guess. I spend a couple of hours fighting my way through the night, even finding another diamond as I do so, before completing my slime killing goal just before 1 AM. I channel my inner magical girl and teleport back to the farm, where after seeing too that all of my gatherables were, well gathered, make haste to my bed where Clive, whilst loving me unconditionally, guards the bed like it's a cherished chew toy. Luckily, I managed to scoot him over and collapse into bed, making just over 10 grand today. Not bad considering I spent most of today in various bushes. Good morning, you earnest little hedgehogs. The spirits might be peeved today, but I have a beanie and smell like coconut, so screw them. Let's go see what trouble I can get into today. Oh? Why hello, Marnie! Mr. Zal? I could get used to that. Marnie's here to ask a favour of me, given my reputation as a kind neighbour. Not sure who she's been talking to for that impression, given that I quite often lay into half the village for their bullshit, but hey-ho. She's trying to get her goats to speak and asks me if I can get her a cave carrot. I mean, I do have those in abundance, so it's easy enough, but I have no intention of completing this today, as I've already made plans. The conversation ends with Marnie reciting word for word the booticle letter she leaves under Lewis's doormat for some strange reason, but I don't have time to think too hard about that because I've got mail. Oh, first let me just put away the sports cap I'm never gonna wear. There we go. Marnie sent me a letter telling me I can now adopt another pet given how well me and Clive have bonded. Woohoo! I already had another bowl made all the way back in spring in prep for this, but I'm so excited to add another little scruffy pet to the homestead. It will, however, have to wait a little while. I know, but I've got to prioritize properly here. But I can assure you by fall's end, we will have another pet in the family. Emily sent me a thank you note for all of her gemstones and even included my very own sewing machine. A lovely thought given the awkwardness recently, so thank you very much, Emily. Lastly, Marnie sent me another letter, this time sharing a recipe for pale broth. Honestly, this is going to be a 5 out of 10 on the Xalwood Munch scale. From what I can gather, it just seems like a worse version of leek and potato soup. I'd absolutely down this if I was sick or in the middle of winter. It's just one of those unassuming comfort dishes, you know? But I'd rather experiment and tweak this recipe about for a more heartier taste. Middle of the pack, and let's just leave it at that. Farm chore time! My slime presser spat out a blue slime egg. Better than last time, but still not the colour I'm looking for, so into storage it goes. I plonked down the dehydrator I got yesterday, as well as move around some of my machines. My mushrooms have sprouted once again, along with some more fish roe. My newest fish pond is ready, so in you go, mutant carp. The animal petting and produce collecting goes as normal, except this time we've got piggies to pet. Look at all of them, all pink and pig-like. Aside from that, I collect my cave mushrooms along with 8 more oak resin, which I use to make another 4 kegs. Why only 4? It's because I've run out of copper. It's becoming a problem. No matter, I used the last of my coal along with my absurd amount of iron to make a stack of bombs, collect a few trinkets to take along with me today, and dunk the newly made kegs in my shed, filling them all with more hops, except for one which I stick a blueberry into, as I'm needing a bottle of wine for the community centre. While that ferments, I set off into town where I turn in my slime bounty to Lewis, who once again recants the same tale from his youth from the last time I did this. He also goes on to inform me of his Wednesday morning routine consisting of waffles, coffee, and decadency. Classic 1%. Give me that pocket change, thank you. I also, of course, check the notice board, but actually end up not accepting the request. I know, I'm just as shocked as you are. Red snappers can only be caught in the rain, and it's not gonna rain tomorrow, so tough luck to be— Demetrius again? For the love of God, man, get a grip. So, what am I going to do today? Well, I think I've earned a little indulging in the skull caverns. Even if today's a bit of a stinker in the luck department, off to the desert we go. But before we delve into danger, I take a look at the desert trader. You see, thanks to my accrued gemstone hoard, I can trade 10 rubies for 10 spicy eels, one of the best foods for cave exploration. In addition, I fork over 6 omnigeos to collect 2 desert warp totems. Perfect for the days I want to do nothing but spelunk. I really have to enunciate that word to appease the bots that hate words. Oh look, I dug up a gold relic. Neat. After scrounging some desert forage purely for XP, as I'll bin all of that off not long after, it's time for my second interlope into the skull caverns. Immediately, I'm introduced to both a new aesthetic and a new adversary, but they won't get between me and my lollipop, no sir. Introducing mummies. They are resilience personified, as striking them down with a sword proves ineffective. However, they can be killed using explosives, once they're diced to an immobile pile of cloth. Speaking of which, they also drop cloth. A nice little way of getting new clothes, I suppose. Spectral ghouls ghouls are also about, but aside from the new ghastly glow, they are the exact same as the ghosts from the ice caverns. That is to say, annoying little shits. Much like the first time I came in here, I'm going to be bombing my way through, collecting anything and everything I can get my grubby little mitts on. I'm still in the honeymoon phase with the skull caverns after all. After jumping down a hole to floor 6, I'm greeted by a mighty large collection of these colourful shiny rocks. That's right, I finally found some wild iridium ore nodes. It's weird to think that all of my current iridium has been from slimes, the meteor, and mystery boxes. But now we're tapping it at the source. Ah, shower me in ore, yes! Speaking of showers, I'm currently getting an absurd amount of coal compared to previously. This is due to my reaching level 10 mining and having the prospector profession. But what intrigues me is the wording. You see, I'm getting coal in clumps of 2 and 3, and it got me thinking that instead of just doubling my chance to find coal like it says, if it works more like the monster compendium, doubling what coal I do find naturally. Or is it completely unrelated and I'm just getting really lucky today? Regardless, the extra coal means I can now reliably craft bombs for quicker exploration should I feel the urge to. But you want to know what I found today, right? Well, let me tell you, today's run was super ordinary, as typical as a resource run can get if I'm being quite frank. After jumping into a hole on floor 10, I find myself surrounded by enough mummies to start a neighborhood watch. And watch me they did as I danced my way around them trying to desperately avoid this level of social interaction. Oh look, gems! Once I escape that floor, I find another new enemy in the form of bats. Well, new is a bit of a stretch, but they're red. That's, I can't make bats interesting, I'm sorry. Oh wait, yes I can! Listen to their squeaks! They're at least cute as hell. Getting back on track, I just moseyed on down the mine, slaying serpents, smashing stones, and surveying the scenery. There was an awful lot of jade and emerald geos dotted about the place too, which of course I'll never say no to. My adventure for today ends by jumping into a hole and reaching a new Skull Mine's personal best of floor 29 before warping back home for the night. After putting the iridium onto smelt, I checked to see what I got out of today, and it's not quite as good as last time, but hey, we all have those days and it all adds up. I did find a rusty cog though, although that's hardly a consolation prize. So I take care of the nightly refills, stockpiling, and sell off another round of animal produce before deciding to turn in for the night. Lifting a copper nugget on high like a newfound messiah, I make just over 16 grand today and get a good night's sleep, because tomorrow is going to be a long one even by my standards. Yeah, I'm up. Big stretch, loosen up those joints, grab a coffee and a snack, and let's dive into today's epic. The spirits are in a good mood today, so I definitely want to get another Skull Cavern run in before the day ends. However, right now the call of the homestead beckons me to tend to it. The eggplants are ready for plucking, my slime press has presented me with another Greg, or green egg to the uncultured. I make a teeny tiny batch of tea saplings since I can, and collect a round of iridium bars, enough in fact for me to upgrade a tool to the max. Yay! I make 4 more kegs, drastically furthering my need to focus on the whole basic resource resupply. Stardew Valley, where inventory management is an ever-present demon. Speaking of present, here's a sneak peek at what I'm taking care of today. A cheeky spoiler for the all-observant. Back to the homestead. The keg shed gets 4 new kegs as I plunder my ales and legendary row, refilling the kegs with some of my last hops, and the jars with blueberries for a change of pace. Yes, I did clean out the fish smell before dunking fruit in there. Don't want any fishy smelling jam. The mutant carp has made its home quite nicely, turning the water to an eerie green, and I see to my animals in crab pots with monotonous gusto. Although I accidentally tried to milk Wallace. Sorry, buddy. Accidental hog wankage aside, I finish up with my chores and chug along down south. Hey, Marnie, I got you something. Again with the Mr. Zal. Marnie, whilst this is lovely, such formalities are irrelevant considering I spent the summer coaxing a pair of underwear out of you. Anyway, here's your cave carrot. No, it's not for you. Bad, Marnie! Oh, it was no trouble at all. Could fill up a barrel and ship it to you and not notice a dent. Oh, you're very welcome, Marnie, but we're not done yet. Let's talk animals. I perused the pet selection, painfully aware of having the funds to get a cat. Well, maybe I can... No, I must resist. Turns out I could also buy turtles? Oh, that's awesome. Oh god, why does this one cost $500,000? You better shit out diamonds for that price, god damn. Let's get on with what I'm actually here to do and buy 2 more pigs. Meet Terrence and Polo, completing both my quartet of pigs and one of the goals for Operation Munchies. Huzzah! Thank you very much, Marnie, and have a lovely day. Taking a moment, I check upon how my friendships are doing. I'm only including this as I've lost the heart I accidentally gained with Clint, and will miss no opportunity to have a celebration at his expense. Much like how I'll always find a way to loot the secret woods of its treasures. But this time, the routinely grind has paid off, for I have finally reached level 10 foraging. I don't know about you, but this skill is always the one I forget about until way later on, so it's nice to have this done early, and I'm super pleased with myself. This also means I only have combat back to level up before I can finally check out that sealed door.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
After a victorious scavenge, I pop into town and into Jodie's house, where I have an interesting conversation about parenting. Jodie worries she spoiled both Sam and Vincent, and I gotta say, with how Sam's looking out for Vincent with all the stuff with his dad, and how he has a genuine air of sincerity and passion surrounding him, I don't think you have anything to worry about, Jodie. And here, have this diamond. Happy birthday. Have a good day and know that you've raised a good kid in Sam. And hell, even Vincent too. Dude, she's right. Okay, maybe this one needed more time to cook, but brains aren't everything. Anyway, bye! Right, now that that's taken care of... I should check that out. Hello? Everyone okay? Oh, hi, Emily. I heard a crash. Are you alright? Oh, good. Still your ADHD-riddled self, I see. Oh? What have you been up to? Hi, Future Xal here. Little did I know, I was in for quite possibly the most surreal and quite frankly bizarre interaction I think I've ever had. Bamboozled doesn't even do it justice. Emily said another thing which can be absolutely misconstrued as threatening, turns on the jukebox, and for the next minute, does this. What the fuck just happened? I don't know what to think, to be honest, Emily, but this was undeniably, categorically, fantastically amazing. Is this what she was practicing at the luau? It was so vibrant and colourful, and an absolute menagerie of wonderfully weird, and whilst I've never partaked in the whole smoking a doob, I imagine this is what it would be like. Emily is... man, Emily just is. She does her own thing in her own lane, unbothered and undeterred. Go get it. After that ludicrous display, Emily thanks me for the positive feedback and hits the shower, prompting me to leave her abode all discombobulated by what just occurred. But in a happy way. We're back to happy weird. Although we're not quite done here yet, as I get to see what became of all those gems I gave Emily a few days ago. A group spiritual cleanse is occurring with Emily at the helm. All that's missing is scented candles, some singing bowls, and a lo-fi playlist. It's all very cute and the girls are all responding differently, with Hayley sleeping through it, which I'm going to take as a compliment indicative to the effectiveness of this practice. Whilst this isn't my scene in the slightest, can't deny they were put to good use. Continuing on with my day, I head into Pierre's where I run into Elliot, who has a little teeny tiny crab in his front pocket. Sorry, got distracted. I sell off my ales and roe, making just under 20 grand before scooting over to Clint's to spend it immediately. I'm here to get my first iridium tool, and no joke, I sat here for about 2 minutes internal monologuing what I should do. I end up deciding to upgrade my axe, as that's the tool that benefits the most from speed. There was an argument to be made for the pickaxe, but I have bombs now, I can compensate. Next up on my list of things to do, I head over to Robin's where I make a start on organising my farm. I told you I'd get there eventually. I move my fish ponds down to their permanent home near the south exit of my farm, all organised neatly in rows. Also, using the last of my current money, I make myself a slime hutch, which I'll plop right here for now. I can now start raising my very own slimes. Woohoo! Knocking off yet another task from Operation Munchies. Now that my funds are depleted and I've gotten some projects in the works, I head over to the train station. Remember that quest from Mr. Key from the secret tunnel? Well, I figured I'd get to completing that. The first task wants me to place a rainbow shell in a box at, you guessed it, the train station. So I fumble around looking for the box, which is not the first time this has occurred for me, and once I do, dunk the shell. Another note falls to the ground, this time tasking me with putting 10 beets in the mayor's fridge? Okay, it's a good thing I barely sell anything, geez. I take the backwards home, and after a quick pit stop to refill machines and reorganize my inventory, grab the beets along with some Skull Cavern necessities and head over to Lewis's. Oh, good evening! Don't mind me, I'm just giving you some fresh beets out of the goodness of my heart. Anyway, there's a note attached to the milk giving me my final task, to give the sand dragon his final meal? Yeah, so at this point, wouldn't you know it, my old friend Wikipedia just so happened to text me saying that I need a solar essence essence, which I have plenty of in my mind chest, and that I have to travel to the desert to feed it to the collection of bones residing here. Thanks for the very specific and helpful advice, Vicky, who is very real and totally not a narrative device for when I need to reference the wiki. Look, Mr. Key doesn't need to know that I cheated, okay? Just be cool, man. Why, yes, I have proven myself. Thank you. Check the lumber next to your house. Okay, got it. Spoiler alert, I forget to check the lumber next to my house today. Since I've ended up here like I planned anyway, I trade my unrefined quartz for a few bombs and grab a couple more spicy eels before slurping one down and entering the skull caverns for another collection session. With combat being the only skill left to level up, I'm going to make an effort to slay everything in front of me, as I tend to have a bit of a habit of avoiding enemies as I go for quicker exploration. The first couple of floors are rather unremarkable, bombing for stone and coal and slaying the odd enemy. That is until I reach floor 9, where I find a bunch of boxes filled to the brim with stuff. Most notably, this fancy hammer called the Slammer. It's a far cry from the Galaxy Sword, but it's a new weapon to add to the collection, so I'm a happy little lad. Before venturing on, I kill a slime for it to drop a new piece of headwear, the hair bone. I know exactly what to do with this. Floor 11 is an infested floor. Perfect. Die, motherfucker, die, motherfucker, die! Aha! Some more fighting and mining later, I descend the ladder to come across my very first treasure room. These rooms always have a small chance of spawning in the skull caverns past floor 10 and contain a whole slew of really useful items. What I'm really looking for is the infamous auto petter, which can only be obtained via these chests. Well, you can buy it if you go the Joja route, but what do I get? 5 mystery boxes. Balls. No matter, I mean, it's not like this will be the last time I find a treasure room, but it'll probably be quite a while before I find another though. Take 2.
Oh.
A red slime egg? Okay. It's still not quite what I'm looking for both here and my slime press, but it's still worth a fair amount, so I'll take it. The resource gathering continues until I hit floor 17, where I bamf out for the night as it's getting a little late in the day. Here's my haul for today, and I'm quite pleased considering I was only in there for around 5 hours. And look at all that coal. Scrumptious. The night ends with my usual smelting, recycling, and selling off animal products, before quietly sneaking up to Clive and donning him with a cute little hair bone. Ah, he's even cuter now, yay! With that, I crawl into bed, officially reach level 10 foraging, where I pick the botanist perk to increase the quality of my forageables to the max level, and make just over 9 grand as I fall asleep crumpled into a pose vaguely resembling a baked pretzel. Well, everyone, the unthinkable has happened. I've got happy spirits 2 days in a row. I don't know who sacrificed their firstborn for this miracle to occur, but I will honour your sacrifice. With that lovely image embedded into our minds, shall we continue? Jodie sent me her recipe for fried calamari as thanks for her birthday present yesterday. I've never had this before, but I'm gonna go with an 8 out of 10 on the Xals Munch scale. It's mainly because they look like onion rings, and I can absolutely see squid having the same chewy texture as onion in this particular package. Would absolutely devour a plate of these, no questions asked. So, thank you very much, Jodie. Also, this letter isn't capitalized, and it's really irritating me. Anyway, my grapes are in! Man, these trellis fruit look awesome. God damn. I gather my first round of grapes from my newly established vineyard. My recycling habits allow me to add an extra row of torches to my sprinklers, and my slime press spits out a red slime egg. Again, not the colour I'm looking for, but it is cash that adds up. I have enough coal to make 2 more preserve jars, which get promptly added to my ever-growing assembly. Whilst taking care of my birds, I accidentally chuck a duck egg into the incubator. Oops. Well, at least I didn't milk Hamilton today. The rest of the animals are in fact living lavishly. My honey is ready once again, yet my flowers are not, so it's still the wild variant. Keep at it, Rolo, you cheeky little trash panda. More oak resin and mushrooms are gathered, along with my ice pip spitting out 5 iron ore. Okay, it's not that exciting, but it's part 1 of their growth. Eventually, these little guys can give me frozen geodes, frozen tears, and even diamonds. But that's way down the line. For now, I gather my skull cavern staples and gallop into town. Yes, I clop a lot. Yeah! Once in town, Harvey pulls me to one side for a chit-chat. Have I been going to the mines? Well, do you reckon if I stick a straw in these big slimes, I could drink them?
Ooh, I'm sexy and I know it.
Oh god, the bats are back! I'm sorry, please don't kill me! Maybe. Oh, Harvey, your concern is touching, but really unnecessary. Slinking past Harvey, the notice board quest today is from Pierre wanting a bok choy. Good thing I keep a little bit of everything just in case. I think I've forgotten something. No, it's not a birthday, and it's not an event either. Oh, right! I dashed back home to check the log pile by my house, and nestled between the wood is a club card. Oh man, it's not a Tesco one? Boo! It does, however, grant us access to quite a unique room, one that I first have to travel to the desert to check out. Upon thanking Pam for constantly shepherding me to sandier pastures, I enter Sandy's establishment and make my way over to this absolute bruiser in the corner. He seems stunned that I have this club card, and admittedly I took the first chance I got to insult him. Oh, I think he took it to heart. No matter, because now I can say, welcome to the casino. This seedy back room, emulating the inside of an eggplant, is where I can play blackjack, gamble my money away on the slots, and where all of my personal information has been stored away for the entire world to see. Wait, what? I don't know what I'm more offended by. The fact that I'm obviously being stalked, or that my personal information is saved on a fucking gopher. The owner of this establishment, and thus the documenter of my movements, is none other than Mr. Key. Nice to finally have a face for the name, even if he does look like a bedazzled Morris, completely drenched in a blended Smurf. Mr. Key has been testing me because I allegedly have the spark, a proclivity for the extraordinary, not content with normality. I don't know about that. I mean, one of my long-term goals for the farm is to have a coffee and tea shop, but hey, maybe that's what he means. He then suggests that me and him spice up some rice dishes with our zesty sauce, which raises all sorts of red flags, before letting me know that he was the one putting treasure chests in the regular mines. I did wonder about that, but I never questioned it. It's good to know. After some words of encouragement, I'm left to my own devices and vices. I buy 100 key coins to play around with since I'm here, and I have a look around. There's a man in the corner I wouldn't let 50 feet near a school, offering a statue of endless fortune for $1 million gold. Genuinely, this could not sound more like a scam. Much like gambling in general. Gamble responsibly, you impressionable nuggets. That being said,
Let's go gambling! Aw, dang it. Aw, dang it. Aw, dang it.
A few minutes later.
ah, there we go, a few thousand key coins. Can I exchange these anywhere for, like, actual money, or... Oh yes, here we are. It's always the person tucked away in the back rooms that you can trade with. Just a little life tip with Xal there. Disclaimer, I am not liable for any damages caused by following my advice. There's actually quite a few things we can get here. The modern bed looks nice. I can get fireworks, which might be fun. But most importantly, there's another rare crow to add to the collection. It does, however, cost 10 grand, so...
I can't stop winning. I can't stop winning. I can't stop winning.
Jackpot, baby! Yeah, that took me 15 real-life minutes that I'm never getting back. But hey, give me that alien. And I'll take a couple extra farm warp totems too. Why not? And with that, I'll take my leave, you creepy little basement goblins. Hey, Sandy! Did you know there's a casino behind your store? Oh, you did! Oh, well, thank God, because that would have been really awkward otherwise. Okie dokie. Now that I've finished up there, what should I do? If only there was an extremely repeatable and lucrative task for me to do in just such a situation. It's Skull Cavern time! Now that I've explored here a few times, I've gotten into a rhythm, and the once daunting caverns are a lot less scary given my bombastic exploration habits. Even the monsters are easier to deal with. The serpents are manageable, the mummies try their best, and the slimes, whilst jiggly and slippery, are simple enough in their own right. Acclamation to the Skull Caverns, whilst obviously good, doesn't take away from the fact that it's still really dangerous, and I should keep my guard up, especially given that the open-ended nature of some of my goals here can easily lead me down the road of complacency. Level 10 combat, collect everything in sight, find treasure rooms, and go as far down as I can each time, as objectives kind of put my brain on autopilot for the most part. And it will bite me in the ass one day. But that's future Xal's problem. For now, let's see what fun things I'm able to find. On floor 7, I crack open some boxes to find not only another slammer, but the curiosity lure, which increases my odds of finding rarer fish. Awesome, I still have some legendary fish to catch after all. Floor 8 is another infested floor, so... Die, motherfucker, die, motherfucker, die! No, not me, please! Ah! Back, you fiendish noodles! Die, motherfucker, die, motherfucker, die! Ooh, a pirate hat. Neat. Aside from that, it's a very explosive evening in the mines. Lots of gold ore primarily, some fanciful gems in all sorts of colours, and an abundance of coal, holes, and stabbable creatures. I smashed past my previous PB of floor 29, and you would think that I'd have found something notable among 20 plus floors, but it really has just been a very substance over style day today. I do, however, find some iridian ore. Oh god, it's alive! No! Not dealing with that, you little creepy crustacean. This one's not gonna grow legs, is it? Whew. Good. Having been thoroughly traumatized by the creepers and crawlies, I teleport out of the skull caverns with a new PB of floor 35 under my belt. Another day, another increase to my stock of treasures. I'm having so much fun exploring. Thanks to the botanist profession, I was able to acquire an iridium coconut from the desert, which will be saved for the upcoming fair only a few days away. That's 2 items sorted, 7 more to go. I take care of my usual nightly duties before tucking my pirate hat away for another lifetime and crawling into bed all lethargic and sloth-like, making just over 3 grand as I drift off to sleep. However, I'm unable to shake the feeling that tomorrow marks some sort of milestone. Oh shit. Okay, let's get it out of the way. It's day 69. The funny number. Can we move on? Here, have a little doot for the occasion. Never say I don't do anything for you all. Checking my fortune for the day reveals that the spirits must have liked my offering to the 69 gods, as they are positively jubilant today. That's 3 days in a row now, good lord. Okay, who's here this time? Oh. Well, hello, Marlon. Well, this is unexpected. Why are you here? Oh, Robin finished my slime hutch. Now it adds up. You see, Marlon used to rear slimes in his youth, leading to the loss of his eye? That's an insane lore drop to just throw at me. Oh, you're joking. Okay. I think he could sense he strung me along a bit too far, because he gives me a slime egg and gives me some genuinely good advice for raising slimes. Fun fact, now that I have a slime hutch built, any slimes I find in the caverns will now have a 1% chance to drop a slime egg of their respective color. I thank Marlon for his time and proceed to see who sent me a letter, only to find that Demetrius has sent me a freaking Nautilus shell in the mail. That is absurdly rare and an absolute load off my mind for the community centre. Genuinely, thank you so much, Demetrius. I still think you could do with learning how to fish yourself, but I will not look this gift horse in the mouth at all. Speaking of gifts, my fields have been blessed with another round of cranberries. In fact, quite a few things already on the farm, so... With the usual chores fully chored out, I decide to check out my newly finished slime hutch. So, what am I doing with this? Well, this is my first time properly doing the whole slim slime stuff, so I'll go through it to the best of my knowledge so far. If I'm incorrect, please don't lynch me. Firstly, the reason I've been collecting slime eggs is that I can incubate them now, as I'm given a free incubator upon the slime hutch's completion. I chuck a red egg in there for now to give it something to do, before sealing off an area for the slimes to roam freely without kicking me in the nads. I've got to wait for a few eggs to hatch before I can start breeding them. Once that starts, I basically need to wait for them to breed enough to hit certain hutch occupancy milestones. 5, 10, 15, and the maximum of 20. Each milestone of slime spawns what's known as a slime ball once a day overnight, giving me a good amount of renewable slime each and every day, which of course I'll be slime pressing into more eggs and thus more slime / money in a big old squelchy cycle. Oh, and if you're wondering why I put a couple of basic bitch sprinklers down, slimes need water. I don't know if it's for laying eggs or for fucking, but consider them appropriately wetted. I think that's all there is to it. If I missed anything, please let me know, because like I said, this is my first time raising slimes. But for now, this is going on the back burner, as the eggs need time to gestate. So I gather a whole slew of items for what I've got planned for today, and chug along into town. I find Abby on my way through, and wish her a happy birthday with some amethyst. We should play games again soon, it was a lot of fun. I also run into Caroline, who tells me quite possibly the most insulting thing I've ever heard. You're so lucky you're T-Mummy, I swear to God. To complete my set of social obligations for this entire family, I head into Pierre's where I deliver him his bok choy from yesterday's quest. Oh, it's no problem. Just please buy your wife a Switch or something, for crying out loud, man. Get her on Animal Crossing. Just something cozy for her cozy little tea room. Also, please buy nearly 30 grand's worth of cranberries, ale and mayo from me, leaving a massive hole in your wallet. Okay, now that I have some money again, I head into Robin's and politely ask for my coop to get its final upgrade into Deluxe. That's right, we're gonna have rabbits soon. Yay, thanks Robin! Next up, I head into the Clungeon, and that was meant to be a mix of Clint and Dungeon, but that sounds utterly rancid, my apologies. Anyway, my axe is ready! Behold, my first iridium tool! Isn't it glorious? Time to smash open my pile of geodes. I know I can save Omni geodes for the desert trader, but to be honest, I kinda want to focus on the museum. That and I love getting all these different shiny rocks. I'm basically a reincarnated magpie. Give me all the shinies. I'm able to get through most of them before having to pop into Gunther's and donate, adding another 9 items to the display, including the gold relic and rusty cog I got a while back. Man, this museum's really coming along. I'm so happy with how organized it all is. I even get a fancy new chair for my abode. Ooh la la. Back into Clint's where I crack open the rest of my geos before getting to my favorite part, the mystery boxes. Well, I do have to sell off most of my duplicate artifacts to make space. It's not like I'll need them anyway. Spoiler alert, this is the biggest mistake of my time in Stardew Valley so far. I also spend 10 grand on coal now that I have the luxury to do so. Just ignore me while I scream about putting even more money into Clint's pocket. Mystery box time! I get a couple of books which I've both read and serve me little purpose, so I'll hang on to them for the next time the bookseller is in town, and get a bunch of really useful items, including some more warp totems, 20 big-ass bombs, and a fat pink cake. Yum. Did you know you can get more mystery boxes from mystery boxes? Had a proper Russian nesting doll situation for a minute there. Do you want to see a magic trick? Now you see me. And now you see me, but somewhere else. Ooh! Back on the farm, I dump everything away where it needs to go, even going so far as to fiddle about in the fridge organizing my food supply. Then I make use of all the coal I got, making an absurd amount of preserve. Oh, I'm out of wood. Well, that's embarrassing. I instead make the executive decision to hold off on that, as I want to make the most out of my phenomenal luck day by doing my current favorite pastime. The desert is calling for me. I must away. Upon reaching the desert, I make a beeline for the desert trader, trading the last of my rubies for spicy eels before settling in for another night of monsters and mayhem. We all know the deal with the skull caverns by now, so let's get right into it. Pretty decent progress so far. It's not until I reach floor 21 that I find something unique. Another treasure room and another chance for the auto petter. 5 super meals. I mean, it's fine. Would like to know what makes it super, but it's far from useless. Well, back to it. Can you tell it's another one of those days where it's resource abundant, but storytelling-wise, it's a bit stunted? I do, however, find a hole on floor 34, which upon jumping down takes me to floor 42, a new PB, and another treasure room on top of that. This time I get a fancy dark cowboy hat, transitioning my vibes from laid-back hipster to a hot stripper cowboy aesthetic. All I'm missing is a pair of spurs and a pole. Yeah! I also blow the shell right off this crab's back and feel a little bit bad about it, but he also looks like an utter creep when he walks. Let me smell your toes. I think I did the world a favour. I'm able to reach floor 45 before having to call it a night, given that it's nearly 1 AM. I collect all my freshly baked ingots. We're not going to talk about that. If you mention that at all, you're smelly. Here, get distracted with all the shinies I collected today. Much shiny? Very well. Having successfully reprogrammed your cognition with some expert distraction techniques, I collect and sell some cheese and mayo, and after tidying up a little, shuffle into bed and curl up all caterpillar-like, ending today's adventure making just over 9 grand. Nice. Wake up, you little disaster donkeys. We've reached the end of another week, which means my favourite Sunday morning program is about to start. Hello, my saucy queen. Today's episode features trout soup, which is 5 out of 10 on the Xalwood Munch scale. Don't get me wrong, any type of fish soup is fine, but there's just so many better ways to have fish. Hell, there's so many better things to put in soup. But it's not offensive nor awful to my taste buds. So into the middle of the pack it goes as an unremarkable afterthought. A truly unexciting thing. The same cannot be said for my luck, which is just on a roll right now. It's like the spirits want me elbow deep in monster guts and shiny rocks. But alas, we've got shit to do. Pierre sent me his recipe for a blueberry tart, which is a vast improvement over trout soup. 9 out of 10, Xalwood devour. I'm a baker at heart and an absolute sucker for a good pastry. Fun little personal fact about me, I've learned recently how to make these blueberry cheesecake cookies, which, by the way, if you've never had these, go get one, but I'm trying to adapt it into these almost cookie bites. Cookie spheres with the cheesecake mix piped into the middle. If I never talk about this again, consider the experiment a failure and by extension myself. But culinary goodness must be experimented with. Anyways, enough about my baking habits, let's get back to Stardew. I put some grapes into my dehydrators yesterday just to mix it up a little, which make a cute little box of raisins. And by God, they sell for a lot, geez. Another day, another Greg to add to my collection. My ales and blueberry jams are still coming along nicely, and my pumpkins have finally arisen. Look how round and plump they are. Hey, don't these look awesome, Archibald? Why the fuck do do I talk to you? I then see to my mushrooms, put my slime press in the hutch, and see to my poultry, crab pots, and cattle before finally getting to try out my fancy new axe. Ah, it's so efficient, I love it. Absolutely made the right choice here. I clean up all the trees to the northwest and head off down south to check the travelling cart. Although, once again, I am left blue-balled by the utter lack of anything I would want. No matter. Back on the farm, I make 7 preserve jars thanks to all the wood I chopped down, collect my pine tars and mushrooms from the mushroom cave, annihilate the trees who dared to grow in the southeast, and finally make 3 more preserve jars for a total of 10 today, which all get bunged into the shed and stuffed with blueberries. Boom, another morning routine done. Although I'm not sure I can call it a morning routine considering I finish at 2 PM, but it's still morning somewhere. In exciting news though, I'm only 1 yam away from getting a greenhouse. No rest for the wicked though, as I gather some of my artisanal goods and vacate the premises. I destroy the local ecosystem by the bus stop, much to the indifference of Pam, and then reach what could be considered my nirvana, the notice board, where Demetrius once again wants me to fish for him. Oh, never mind, this is a circle of hell. No, that doesn't stop me from accepting the job. And yes, I know I have a people-pleasing problem. Shut up. Hey there, Pierre. I've got some more homegrown goods to sell. About 7 grand's worth, actually. Thank you very much, my good man. So, now that I'm free from obligation, what am I doing on a good luck day that isn't the Skull Caverns? Well, I'm glad I asked, because you can't talk to me, but I'm going to the beach. I dig up another lost book in the sand, because Stardew Valley is, once again, where literature comes to perish, and settle in for some good old-fashioned fishing. Feels like forever since I've done this. I mean, that could be just because it's been nearly a week of non-stop cavern exploring, but it's nice to go back to my roots and, oh my god, I forgot to buy more pumpkins. Pierre, please be open. Oh, thank god. Yes, I would like to buy some pumpkin seeds. How many? Okay, redemption time. If a quality sprinkler waters 8 pumpkins and I have 9 sprinklers for the patch, that means I do 8 times 9 to get 72 pumpkins. Booyah, math achieved. Take that past me. Oh, and also 50 wheat seeds if you could. Thank you, thank you. Right, where was I? Oh yes, fishing. Now, there is a reason I'm here, and if Willie would stop touching my ass, I'll tell you. That's better. Anyway, part of my prep for the Stardew Valley Fair is to collect a bunch of different items from all walks of the homesteading lifestyle. There are 8 categories in total which are judged, but you only need to represent 6 of them for the maximum point awarding value. I'll go into this further on the day of the festival, but what this essentially boils down to is that iridium quality fish are by far the easiest things to get naturally, as well as being some of the highest scoring items from what I can bring. Which brings us to the beach, as I'm hoping to get lucky and catch something good, like an iridium cucumber, and only 3 different iridium fish for the fair. So the question now is, how did I do? Well, I got an iridium sea cucumber like I wanted, so that's nice. But after 4 hours of fishing, I didn't catch much else of note. I was trying to get an iridium albacore or super cucumber, but it just wasn't meant to be, unfortunately. Refusing to let that discourage me, I continue my fishing exploits in town, where I decide to hunt for Fall's legendary fish. I affix my challenge lure, take up residence by this waterfall, and get to fishing. Ta-da! The angler. Look at this toothy little goober. Aw, 3 down, 2 more to go. My fishing night ends with me taking on Demetrius's request for 3 smallmouth bass. I even brought my bait maker along to make time pass by quicker. Although it's still not until a couple of hours pass by that I notice... No, I don't want to talk about it. Instead, I'm going to teleport back home in shame. However, I have been a bit of a silly beaver. You see, I have a stockpile of fish from... I gotta be honest, I cannot for the life of me remember when. But in this stockpile is an iridium largemouth bass and bullhead, which just so happen to also be a part of this elite group of high points value fish for the festival. So with these 3 fish, along with the egg and coconut from a few days ago, brings me up to 5 out of 9. Tonight would usually be when my operations end, but as the fair's on Tuesday, I can extend it 1 more day. I make the rules after all, but that doesn't make me the master of time. So I sell off the unneeded fish from today, make another preserve jar because I can, along with a good smattering of flooring. I'll get back to that some other day, and replant the pumpkins I picked today, as well as get the previously plucked pumpkins in kegs as fast as I can, all while collecting the fruits of my labor from earlier. The day concludes with me sprinting over to shut the animal hutch doors and trying to desperately sell all my artisan goods before I pass out. But I end up catatonic on the carpet like a crunkly little house cat. I do make over 16 grand from today, so amongst the redemption math, butt tickles, and fishing mishaps, I'd say it was worth it. Rise and shine, ferrets and verbals. It's pre-fair day, meaning we've got a bunch of things to take care of before we can relax tomorrow, with the main goal being to get 4 more items to bring to the Grange display, although I'm sure I'll have plenty of time to get that sorted. Oh, good grief. Who is it now? Oh, hi, Jody. Always a pleasure. Turns out Jody's trekked all the way up here at 6 in the morning to ask me if I'd like to have dinner with her family tonight. How sweet. I'll make some time later in the day for you, absolutely. And she too wants a largemouth bass. Why is everyone obsessed with this fish recently? No matter, 7 PM, largemouth bass, I'll be there. With that obligation penciled in, and after a brief reminder by Lewis regarding the fair tomorrow, it's time to get down and dirty. And no, that's not a hyperbole, as I do in fact bend over backwards plucking my grapes from the vines and beets from the soil, replacing the latter with wheat as I go. Then it's the usual morning routine, with grapes being my main dehydrator focus for now, my ancient fruit provide another batch, thank you Douglas, and my animals are of course being their cute cuddly selves. That is until I get to my fish ponds where I discover that my lava eels are wanting basalt. Now, where on earth have I seen that before? I wonder. Well, I do have to sell off most of my duplicate artifacts to make space. It's not like I'll need them anyway. Welp. Fuck me, I guess. You know what? At least my lava eels have good taste in rocks. Those infuriatingly stylish little noodles. Coming to terms with the fact that this particular pond won't grow for a while, I collect a few essentials for today's wanderings, sell off my inventory clutter because I felt a little lazy, and charge into the well-known upon my trusty steed. My first stop today is the desert, and for once I'm not just going for the skull caverns, no. Instead, I'm here to deforest and forage, as well as pay Sandy a visit, because it's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Sandy! Have a daffodil, which definitely wasn't the only thing I could grab at a moment's notice. Next up on my list of things to do, I head on back to the valley and get accosted by Emily in front of the bus. You seeing this, Pam? Just making sure I've got a witness to this blatant tomfoolery. Anyways, like I was saying, next up I head over to Robin's where I commission pond number 6. Thank you very much, Robin, and proceed to cut down some of the mountain lake trees before settling in to catch a few extra largemouth bass, as that's the hottest fish at the moment. With 10 largemouth bait, I'm able to catch 5 replacement bass, 2 of them being iridium and 3 gold. More than enough to satisfy everyone I need to. Huzzah! I spot Linus chilling by his usual lake spot and have a quick chat with him, only to find out he's delved quite far into the mines himself, which was a bit of a shock. He also gives me a warning about venturing in myself, which admittedly has come several months too late, but I appreciate the thought. What I don't appreciate, however, is Demetrius refusing to learn how to fish, as I turn in his request a little further up the lake. Yes, the prize ticket and a steady income does soften the emotional tax a little bit, but get a grip, man! Having completed another task for today, I head through the backwards, decimating tree life along the way, make a drive-by on the farm, picking up my iridium bars to take the minecarts over to Clint's and get a fancy new tool upgrade, and he's closed. Shit. Well, since I'm here, you want to see something cool? Someone told me that if you go poking around the fencing to the right of Clint's, there's an opening, and after clearing both a big log and a big rock, there's a golden trash can hiding behind a tree containing a book called The Alleyway Buffet, a book which incidentally increases the odds of finding better items in bins, as if I needed more incentive to rummage around like a wild raccoon. I take a moment to visit Lewis's house to turn in another prize ticket, this time getting 4 more mystery boxes, but also revealing I'm close to another cup of Star Drop tea. Nice! As it's the start of a brand new week, I also check the special request board, where I'm given a choice between getting a mountain of bugger guts for Willie, or a couple of baskets filled with eggs for Gus. Call me crazy, but I don't want to be covered in bug guts for the next week, so eggs it is. Speaking of food, it's now 7 PM, so I make a beeline for Jody's house for a nice home-cooked meal. Hi, Jody! Why, yes, you do. It's as fresh can be. So where do you want me to set this bad boy down? Okay, that wouldn't be my first choice, but whatever. Regardless, Jody makes a delicious meal breading my bass like a certified expert, and I spend a rather pleasant evening with this family, despite their 5-second rule habits. You know what? I should give Jody my thanks for a lovely night. Or at least I would do if I didn't get distracted by Sam furiously strumming his guitar with a passion that would make many a potential lover weep. He and Sebastian are trying to start a band, which I do remember him talking about the last time I spoke to him. However, he doesn't quite know which direction the band should take, and then asks me about my music tastes. Let's have a quick listen to my top 3 most played songs at the moment.
I've seen visions in my tomorrows in the copper afterglow. I'm a sleepwalker. Kingslayer, I'll fight for you until I die. Kingslayer, destroying castles in the sky. Kingslayer, forever hold the apple of my eye.
Well, I think I know what I need to answer with. Interestingly though, Sam says he's been thinking about the same thing, which is not quite believable enough to me. I can't shake the feeling that this is a very yes player response, as opposed to Sam actually speaking here. But hey, here's hoping there's a payoff with this choice and it's not left to the wayside. Regardless, Sam asks Sebastian if he's on board, and his reply is oozing with enough energy to put Red Bull to shame. A man of few words indeed. I'm thanked for my input and leave these guys to ponder over who their drummer should be. Right, time to thank Jody for a lovely meal, and Sam's accosted me at the fridge. My guy, don't you have a band to make? Oh, please don't get me one. I'm full from dinner. There's no need. You butter-fingered dill hole. This is what happens when you strum for hours on end. Come on, let's get this cleared up before Jody finds out. Well, there goes that plan, I guess. Oh, she is pissed. I'm left to explain what happened because, of course, and I spent a good 4 minutes deciding if I should take the blame for Sam. I want mums to like me, okay? Ugh, you owe me one, Sam. I take the blame, and surprisingly, Jody's fury mellowed out almost instantaneously. I think that officially means Jody likes me. Sam also doesn't leave me out to dry either, as he swoops in offering to clear it up, which he should do in the first place, but hey, I appreciate not being made to fix this mess. Having spent what feels like hours of socializing after the fact, I'm able to finally speak to Jody alone. Oh no, thank you for the invitation, and sorry about the egg. Okay, bye! After stealing a snack from Emily's bin because I can, I head through Cindersap and spend an hour cutting down stumps in the secret woods because I felt like it, before returning to my farm for the remainder of the night. It's here where I can officially call Operation Munchies to a successful end. But Zhao, you didn't pick up anything new today and you're still missing 4 items for the fair. Well, aren't you an observant little guinea pig? While that is true, it's not until I do my nightly cleanup of artisanal goods and sorting through my chest that I realise I've already gotten everything that I need. That's right, I pre-prepped way too hard. More on that tomorrow though, as tonight ends with me clearing out the trees to the northwest along with scything the grass away from my ponds. I also smoked the gold quality bass that I caught today, and instead of selling them, proceed to sleep with them tucked under each armpit like makeshift hot water bottles, except gross and scaly. I make a small bit of change from selling off random scraps, but who cares about that when the Stardew Valley Fair is finally upon us. Woohoo! Hopefully I still have some social battery left after today's escapades. It's here, it's happening, it's the Stardew Valley Fair day. A day jam-packed with carnival games, obligatory socializing, and a Grange display contest that has consumed most of my brain capacity since fall started. That being said, it's finally here and I can't wait to have some fun. But first, the farm beckons. Pam sent me a beer in the mail that had been previously residing in an old drawer. Okay, I can't help but feel that this might be the birthday beer that I gave her back in spring. Should I feel insulted? I don't have time for this right now. We've got a lot to do already, don't we, Clive? A few crops are ready to harvest. The eggplants, broccoli, and most importantly, the yams, which get replaced with wheat. I can feel the greenhouse calling my name. Yippee! Another round of maple syrup is ready to go, much like Rolo's Fairy Rose honey, which I gather with gusto. Thank you, Rolo. All the head scritches for you. Taking a peep into my slime hutch reveals that I'm now a slime daddy. Look at the little slimy lad. I grab another red egg and plop it right into the incubator for more jiggly friends. Ooh, the fair started. Although I have until 3 PM to actually get there, so you know I'm gonna eke out as much time as I can. So that's exactly what I do as I see to all of my animals as per usual. I also take the time to use the stone flooring I made a few nights ago to spruce up my pond area. Is this gonna be permanent? Probably not, but it already looks a lot cleaner and I'm all here for that. One of my ducks went for a swim. Ah, what a little cutie. Right. Enough distractions. It's time, people. Time to go over exactly what I'm bringing to the Stardew Valley Fair and why. So grab a pen and some peaches because it's time for a crash course in carnival fun times. Now, let's take a deeper look at the numbers surrounding the points scoring. So in order to win the event, you need a score of 90. That's our goal. 14 points are given by default to the player, and 9 more awarded for bringing 9 items in total to the display. That's 23 points all accounted for by just showing up. An extra 5 points are awarded for each category represented by the items you bring, capping out at 6 out of 8, meaning a max total of 30 points are also given to you for the variety of items brought. So with all that considered, we're already at 53 points won, needing another 37 to win. With the division of points handed out via the categories leaving some wiggle room, it allows me to specialize somewhat in what I choose to bring. Hence the first 3 items I'm bringing being a bullhead, a sea cucumber, and a largemouth bass. Since only 6 categories need representation, it's best to fill out the remaining slots with high value, accessible items you can get at any time. Spoiler alert, it's gonna be fish, as that's very likely going to be your highest leveled skill, and the one that yields the most consistent results. If we have a look at this points chart for the fish you can bring in display and look at my bullhead, don't be dirty, you'll see that because I'm level 10 and have the angler profession, I score the max amount of points I can when I catch an iridium bullhead. The max points any item can have is 8, meaning out of this table, you're going to be looking to the far right and scanning any item that hits that 8-point sweet spot. The sea cucumber benefits from my chosen fishing profession, whereas the largemouth bass is just a beast at base, and both give me another 8 points each, leading to 24 points in total from fish. I could have brought one more fish, however, I'm recording a series and want my box to look and smell nice. Stop being dirty! It occurs to me that I've just said I want my box to smell nice and I'm bringing a lot of fish and a lot of things that don't pair well with fish. I didn't think this through and I'm sorry. That being said, I'm at 77 points now with just that, and it would have been 84 with another fish.
You are made of stupid.
For anyone watching wanting tips on how to win the event, you'd be hard pressed to fuck it up at that point. With that revelation, the following 6 items don't make as much of a difference when tallying up their point value, but I'm nothing if not thorough. For animal products, I'm bringing a large iridium egg, being the highest scoring item you can bring in this category at 8 points. For artisan goods, I can't actually score anything higher than a 6 without casks, as artisan goods can't be turned into iridium quality without it. I do, however, have a gold piece of cheese worth 6 points, and that'll have to do this year. For flowers, forage and tree saps, my only real hope was finding an iridium chanterelle or morel for 8 points with my level 10 foraging profession. However, I had to settle for a gold chanterelle, which as a consolation prize is still worth 6 points. Fruit was an easy iridium coconut pickup for 8 points right after once again getting my foraging to level 10. Minerals is by far the worst category to pick from, with most of the items here being very low scoring. However, you can't go wrong with diamonds, which is exactly what I bring for this category and worth 6 points. And finally, vegetables, I was a tad surprised at, considering I stockpile veggies like an overweight rabbit, but I'm only able to bring a gold piece of amaranth worth 6 points, as iridium quality crops don't occur unless you apply deluxe quality fertilizer, which I'm not even close to making yet. And there we go everyone, our 9 items all ready to go and delivered to the Stardew Fair. What's my overall score? You'll find out soon, silly. I hope that explained it all for those of you who struggle with this event, but for the ADHD riddled and math hissing gremlins out there, it boils down to big number, go get, more diversity, more good. And you'll be pretty much golden. But pens and papers down, please, because now I can finally say, welcome to the Stardew Valley Fair. And for once, Pierre's not set up shop like the little coin goblin he is. Instead, there's a prize booth, which I can exchange star tokens for all sorts of goodies. The star drop and prize ticket being the most eye-catching desirables. We'll get into prize hunting later on, but for now, let's just take in the festivities. There's a lot going on after all. Gus has gone all out and made an all-you-can-eat barbecue, which I take full advantage of eating 4 burgers because I'm a whore for meat. Especially when Gus dribbles his secret sauce onto my food. Get your head out of the gutter! Although please get some veggie options for good old Granny Evelyn, poor thing. My competition have set up their Grange displays all neatly and presentable. Pierre, Marnie and Willie all have their own flair for sure. However, as I set up my wonderful oddity collection, it pales in comparison to my quirky charm. Although Marnie's cheese wheel looks absolutely delish. Further into town, there's a farmyard animal enclosure set up for the kids. Moo indeed, Vincent. Moo indeed. For the adults, however, the main set of extra activities for the event is the carnival, filled with games and gimmicks galore. There's even a clown. The most interesting of the stalls is a little further away, where a seer with an all-seeing crystal ball is offering to look into my future. Let's have a look, shall we? Welp, that's sufficiently vague and just obscure enough for it to be accurate. Ooh, me and Emily on the farm, huh? Interesting. A big pink melon? Oh, my future looks awesome. Funny it mentions my beautiful farm's future, as I've since planned out my farm in a lot more detail, and it is glorious. No more future spoilers, however. Let's go partake in carnival fun times. After showing what an absolute beefcake I am, absolutely destroying the strength test, receiving 1 star token for my troubles makes this hardly an effective method for collecting these. So I head over to the shooting gallery, where my very real and very big muscles impede my ability to shoot even remotely well, or just well enough given your point of view. But again, 40 tokens? It's hardly a dent in what I need. So it all comes down to fishing once again. Just gotta catch as many fish as I can within the time limit. Quick Rod Gaming. 8 fish in 1 minute 40 for a good 576 tokens. That's more like it. Oh, what's this? Gambling? Don't mind if I do.
I can't stop winning. I I can't stop winning.
I don't want to talk about it. One redemption fishing sesh later, I returned to the gambling machine to correct the timeline, making 4,000 tokens from betting it all on 3 spins. Fun fact, this wheel is weighted. There's a 73.3% chance for it to land on green. So bet on green, gremlins. I buy the prize ticket and another star drop, where I'm once again filled with the thoughts of trophies. I have a feeling that's more relevant today than it's ever been. I then win big again on gambling to clear out the rest of the stock bar 100 pieces of hay. But I'm not going to waste my time just getting that for the sake of, and I ended up fishing for the last star tokens to completely clear out the store because I can and I wanted to. With all the fun and festivities seen to and partaken in, however, it's time for the main event, and I speak to Lewis to begin the Grange display judging. With bated breath, I approach Lewis filled with anticipation and receive the blue ribbon trophy for winning first prize at the Stardew Valley Fair. With 116 points in total, only 9 away from hitting the maximum you can earn of 125. A feat I'm genuinely quite proud of. I pay my respects to the losers, and seeing as there's nothing left for me here this year, leave the event with a sense of pride and satisfaction, along with trophy number 2 out of 9 for the 1.6 update. Oh, and I clumsily retrieve all of my items, but that didn't really tie in with the whole cool closing statement, so... Anywho, time waits for no man, especially one as busy as me. I sell off my victory display items as a thank you for their service, before I take the remainder of the night to, in post-festival tradition, decorate the homestead. I put my newly acquired sunflowers between my seasonal plants, as well as finally set up the sewing machine Emily gave me a while ago. But most importantly, I finally moved this big fucking bear to guard over the fireplace. The decorating in the house stops there. However, the rest is put into the fishing area that I started on this morning. I collect all of my fish for transport and make my very first worm bin from some spare materials. Although it's not here for long, as I use that along with some moss to upgrade it to its deluxe version, allowing me to get 4 to 5 pieces of deluxe bait every morning. I collect a few more needed pieces for the move, before checking in on my shed to see that my blueberry wine is finally ready, although that's another day's story. For now, I take nearly everything fishing related down to the ponds, set up my fish smokers, a chest with all of my fish, the deluxe worm bin, and even dabble making a fancy little entryway with some spare iron fences and gates. I pretty much committed to passing out tonight, but not before I make a mad dash to shut my animal doors before collapsing in a heap next to the chicken coop. The day ends with me making 15 grand, bringing an end to yet another successful event. But Jesus Christ, there was so much to cover. I had to rewrite this 4 times to get it all to fit, and even then, it's a long-ass day. Thank you all for bearing with me. Here's a loaf of sourdough bread I made. I'll let you have a slice if you let it slide that I didn't write a real introduction for today, although don't tell anyone else watching, they'll get jealous because I like you the best. Now that I've bribed my favourite viewer, let's get back into the saddle of normality. Linus is the one who found me unconscious last night, and once again my pockets have been rifled through. Last time it was Clint being all creepy and weird, however considering where I passed out, it could have easily been a chicken minding its own damn business. Speaking of business, did you know you can dehydrate coconuts? Because I learned that today with the same shock a taser to the balls would inflict. Much more happy doing this than my brief stint of using blackberries. Ugh. The blueberry jam business is going smoothly, and I'm slowly making a dent in summer's stockpile. However, it's time for another installment of Xaldid a Stupid. Last night, when I was refilling the jars, I missed out on the corner one. So we get to play the age-old classic game of how long does it take me to notice. Mark this down as day 2, okay? I take care of some maintenance, like chopping down trees, collecting the mushrooms, and checking up on the lonely little slime. There, buddy. You'll have a friend soon, I promise. I then get to taking care of my animal area. The egg quest for Gus is proving to be easier than expected. The only difficulty is my being a slavery to a routine, and sometimes I just make mayo without thinking. I mean, I did live off the stuff for a time. It's unnatural for me to just leave eggs lying about. Oh, while I'm adjacent to the subject, one thing I've neglected to mention is that my coop has been fully upgraded, with a fancy new conveyor belt and everything. But the best thing is, we've got room for 4 more fluffy tenants, and the money to do so. Upon realizing that myself, I make a mad dash to Marnie's from sheer excitement. Marnie, I demand the fluffy bunnies! Oh, but I have enough money for a cat. Curse you gods! What kind of Sophie's Choice is this? Oh, one that's made infinitely easier when I see that I could get 5 rabbits for the price of 1 cat. Introducing Jojo, Xavier, Timmy, and Sir Flop-a-Lot to Everlasting Farm. Since rabbits are instinctively skittish, I'll let them settle in before bothering them. Get them used to their new home and friends, you know? For now, I turn my attention back to the remaining morning chores. Robin's hard at work again on another pond for this toothy little goober. Not long now, buddy. And I'm finally putting a dent into this massive fish pile that's needed smoking after so long. But with a dedicated operation site for it now at my disposal, hopefully I'll ingrain it into my head to get it done. Lastly, my oak resin is ready once again, marking the rare occasion where I'm done with my morning chores in the actual morning. Crazy, I know. With that being said, it doesn't really change how busy my day ends up being. So after selling off some bits and bobs, including my leftover green and blue slime eggs for some extra profit, I collect everything I need for today and skedaddle. I yoink some plums by the bus stop and take the minecart over to Clint's. I put in my copper pan for an upgrade and pulled Clint to one side to whisper into his ear that if I find out he was rummaging in my pockets last night, that I'll shave his beard off while he sleeps and glue it onto Archibald's face. There's a good man. Next up, I run into the mayor's house to turn in my festival prize ticket for yet another decorative plant. Yay! The notice board once again beckons me to come over with the promise of a steady reward, and I see that Marnie wants an emerald. Consider it done, just not today, as I make my way over to deliver some long overdue items to the community centre. Hi again, Junimos. I bring presents. Making my way directly to the pantry, I fork over 5 gold pumpkins to the quality crops bundle, completing it and rewarding me with another preserve jar. Nice! I also donate an eggplant, yam, and another pumpkin to the full crops bundle, which not only completes it, giving me another bee house, again nice, but it also completes the pantry. Happy squeak time! Aw, you're welcome! With that, the pantry and adjoining kitchen are brought back to life with colourful vibrancy, and I commence with my traditional Junimo happy dance as the little guy fetches and flings star number 4 onto the board. Thank you, Junimos! We're not done donating yet, however. Over at the bulletin board, I donate the blueberry wine from yesterday to the Enchanters bundle, a duck feather to the dye bundle, and finally the Nautilus shell I luckily got in the mail to the field research bundle, completing it and rewarding me with another recycling machine. Whilst that's not quite as nice-worthy as the other machines, the fact that I only need 5 more things for the community centre most certainly is. The truffle, rabbit's foot, and pomegranate are all things I've already put into motion and just need time. Oh, 1 second. Bye, Junimos! As I was saying, the snow yam is given during winter, although I am a little bit surprised I haven't encountered it during my many trips into the icy caverns. And the final item, the red cabbage, otherwise known as the notorious holdout, is what I'm dedicating the most time to finding. So after hastily putting my day's spoils away, I'm on the next bus out to the desert, trading my quartz and rubies away for some bombs and snacks, and delving into the skull caverns with a renewed sense of purpose. For you see, in addition to all the goals I currently have within this sandy tomb, the big green serpents that torpedo at you with the same speed at which landlords demand rent also have a 0.5% chance to drop a red cabbage seed. A small chance, yes, but given how my luck with the travelling cart has been, I'll take whatever extra help I can get. Unfortunately, there was no such luck today, but a few interesting things happened along with my ever-diligent resource gathering. A triple killed a shuffling of mummies which exploded into a confetti of cloth. That was fun. The next few floors are the usual routine of slaying monsters and jumping in holes until I reach floor 16, where I kill a slime and have some new ideas to sleep on. Only 1 more level to go before I can open that door. Ah, I'm excited! I also thought I found a red cabbage after slaying a serpent, but it was just a party hat. I hate it. The list of things I found deemed worthy enough to mention continues with me finding an emerald node for Marnie's request. Unnecessary, but I'll take the good luck and good faith. Another cart full of coal because I can't go one day without mentioning this ever-present pain in my testicles. A quintet of red bats greeted me on floor 20 and oh so graciously donated to my butterfly hutch fund. A lone piece of iridium ore didn't grow legs and crawl towards me, which I would take regardless of Lady Luck's faith alignment, and I found another diamond node right next to a big boy slime, which after decimating spat out another purple slime egg. Unfortunately, here on floor 37 is where time inevitably catches up with me and I have to warp out, but not before I crack open a bunch of unassuming barrels along with cracking open one final serpent head for the road. There we go, now I can teleport home. Not a bad haul by any means, and I made some progress in the goals department. I call that a win. I get everything put away and set up my inventory for tomorrow, and tiptoe into my house to shuffle a sleeping Clive out of the way of the fridge for a stock take, then shuffling his sleepy ass back over to the fridge so I can get into the chest of drawers to retrieve my floppy beanie. Now before anyone gets upset, I'm going to take away Clive's hair bone. No, listen here. Just like Indiana Jones, I'm pulling a switcheroo with the beanie. Yes, it makes him cute as fuck, but whether I like it or not, winter is coming, and I don't want Clive's ears to freeze, so I need him to get acclimated to this new hat now is all. With Operation Hat Swap successful, I quickly bung down the houseplant I got from today and crawl into bed ready for exhaustion to take me. The Genomos, however, don't understand the concept of sleep, as they're hard at work reviving my greenhouse. Is that a fucking raccoon? Rolo can have a friend! But yes, the greenhouse is done. Woohoo! The day concludes with me officially reaching level 9 combat and learning how to make squid ink ravioli, which sounds about as appetizing as an enema. And another 11 grand crawls its way into my bank account, which shockingly enough is very conducive for a good night's sleep. Why hello there, mole rats and mouse hats. It's the dawn of another day, and what a beautiful day it is. The sun is shining, the leaves are falling, and Clive's running around with its brand new beanie all floppy and free. The cranberries are in again. Oh, there's also more grapes in the majority of my mushrooms, but you damn well know I'm all about them cranberries. The coconuts are finished drying out, and by the goodness of grilled cheese, they make a tidy little profit. I'm pretty sure they only make a profit like this when I use the low quality ones. Let me have a quick look. Oh, turns out they'll make a profit no matter what quality I put in, although it is more profitable to use the crotty ones. Good to know. I have 26 pieces of coal to burn through, so in record time I smelt 5 gold bars and make 2 more preserve jars, which get promptly added to the squelch shed, along with the one I got from the community centre yesterday. The shed's almost completely full now. Gonna need to start thinking about expanding, as if that's a different thought process than any other day on the farm. You'll be pleased to know that I've almost finally processed all of my hops, with only some stragglers left behind, and you'll be equally displeased with my observation skills, as corner jar over here remains unfilled. To distract you from my silliness, let's go say hi to the rabbits I got yesterday. Knock knock, what's up you fluffy little... Hi, Detective Xal here. I've given myself that moniker to get to the bottom of this innocuous mystery. Firstly, you've already met the incubator, which comes with every deluxe coop. You put an egg into it, and poof, you'll have an animal shortly after. Problem is, when the fuck did I do this? So I looked it up, and duck eggs take 5 days to fully incubate. Rewind time, and this brings us back to... day 69. Of course it would be then. So I checked the day, but can't find when I did this, so I pull back the curtain further. Oh, welcome to what the back end of these days look like, by the way. A lot of effort goes into making these days as interesting as possible, and I appreciate all the continued support. But yes, I had to go into the raw footage file for this day, and boom, there's my goofery caught in the clippings. Mystery solved. Right, now get out of here. You're not allowed backstage. Okay, where was I? Oh yes, right. Ah, look at the little rabbits and their fluffy little bums. Ah! It's a good thing I filled up the coop when I did, otherwise I would have had to sell a duck, and I don't think I could have done that. I get far too attached to these little guys, okay? Over by my fishing area, I place down my bait maker, as well as bring my recycling operation down here to consolidate these often overlapping hobbies. I collect and smoke some more fish, my mutant carp produced 7 pieces of roe, which I'm slightly flabbergasted by. I throw the angler into its freshly built home, and my stonefish are asking for 5 earth crystals. Take note, lava eels. This is what it means to be an effortless tenant. I plonked down the extra bee house I got yesterday before heading down south to pay Marnie a visit. It's her birthday today, and I wanted to say thank you for the rabbits anyway. Happy birthday, Marnie! I mean, at some point, it stops being my fault. Where the hell are you now? Oh, today's Marnie's annual checkup at the doctor's. Well, I suppose I can't blame a person for that. Wait, yes I can! Who schedules a checkup on their birthday? What ludicrous behaviour. It's okay, nothing a bit of smoked salmon can't fix. I compose myself and sell off my cranberries, coconuts, and ales, among other things. Oh my god, just look at how cute he is. Goodness gravy. And I decide to deviate from my usual pathing today by taking the backwoods to go and see Robin. Hey girl, hey! For once, I'm not just here to put her to work. First, I purchased the remainder of the floor stars for future pathing needs, and tried to move my barn and coop into their more permanent positions. A task that goes about as well as secreting honey from human armpits because all of my animals were running around blocking the move. No matter. I instead do indeed put her to work by asking for a second coop. Thank you, Robin. Strolling into town, I noticed the notice board noticing me and accept a request from Emily for Largemouth Bass. Maybe this is becoming the town's collective special interest. I pop into the clinic to see Marnie and get caught between a waiting room chair and apparently the air around Harvey just rejecting my very being. Luckily, Marnie saw me struggling and came over. Is that emerald you wanted yesterday? Thank you for the 750 gold, and here's a diamond for you. Happy birthday, and I hope the checkup goes well. Making a swift exit, I bump straight into Caroline, who tells me that Pierre's super sore about losing to me at the fair. I'm really sorry to hear that. Hey, Caroline, when you can, please tell him I said...
Don't care.
No, I'm sorry, I'm joking, please. Tell them no hard feelings, it was a close one, and anyone could have won. Just between us, though, it really wasn't that close. I trot along back to the farm to collect on some processed items, and I see I completely forgot about the earth crystals. Easy enough fix, let me just go grab some. I don't have any earth crystals. How on earth did that happen? Get it? How on earth? Well, anyway, I can't give what I don't have, so we'll just have to settle at looking at the earth in my brand spanking new greenhouse. What will soon become the main hub for my ancient fruit Douglas has taken great care to keep safe. But I don't want to do that today. Instead, I want to take the bus to the desert to continue working on the ever-growing list of things that need doing in the skull caverns. One of which now includes getting a lot more omnigeos to trade in for artifact troves, along with, of course, adding earth crystals to the shopping list. So after chopping down some trees and collecting coconuts, I down a spicy eel with the gusto of koala on coffee and delve once again into the deep dark caves. If today's mining expedition was a cereal, it would be Bran Flakes. If you can't infer what that means, you'll soon catch on. A diamond fell out of the squishy behind of a big slime. That was gross. I got stuck on floor 3 for 2 hours trying to find the stairs, although I am slightly rewarded by finding 2 separate holes almost back to back from each other, so Lady Luck evened me out there. Found another diamond node, which is adding even more credibility to my theory that I'm a diamond magnet, although maybe I'm an everything magnet today because I find quite a few more gemstone geos than I usually do. Further on, I find another big slime which had an iridium bar fall out of its rear. Either the slimes just eat anything they want, or someone's being really inappropriate with the local wildlife. I locate another cart of coal, which, as depressing as it sounds, might be the most impactful find of the whole trip. In my haste to escape floor 22, I completely miss a much needed earth crystal, much to the chagrin of future editing me. Bombing this little collection of ores was at least satisfying to watch, but it's getting pretty late, so I Henry Hoover up everything in the vicinity, eat a purple mushroom for the sheer culture of it, and desperately search floor 24 in search of anything remotely worth talking about. Alas, I come up empty as the clock strikes 1 and I have to warp out. Not the most thrilling of adventures today, I must admit, but as I shut the animals in for the night, I need to remember that it might not be the flashy, fanciful progress befitting a grandiose tale, but the fundamental grind that this valley revolves around. And hey, I would have whored myself out for 25 gold in one day back in the good old, oh, who am I kidding, I'd still whore myself out for it now. With that being said and left to linger, I sell a singular starfruit seed because I'm quirky like that, snuggle up in bed all cozy and rosy, and make over 25 grand for being a hard-working little workhorse. Good morning, you scrunkly little fart machines. Come on, man, you can think of something better. Got it. Good morning, my organic little fleshy stalkers. Much better, but enough incredibly disturbing nicknaming. We've got things to do. Marnie sent me her recipe for a rhubarb pie in the mail as a token of good friendship. I mean, we have been through a lot together, you're not wrong. So hear me out. I got you a diamond today, picked specially for you. Now that we're good friends, I'm just gonna go open this door and...
How about no?
But I'd happily go through a lot of rhubarb pie. 8 out of 10 on the Xalwood Munch scale. Love the flavour, and I'm not gonna lie, this might be the prettiest dessert I can think of. Something about it just has the baker in me screaming with utter delight. But yes, much yum, very munch. Caroline's also sent me a letter, and she's wanting a pumpkin for her and Abby to carve together over the holiday period. No problem at all, I've got plenty and I'm happy to help out, especially when it's for tea, mummy. But right now, the morning calls for my undivided attention. I use some of my accumulated fall forage to make 20 fall seeds, and I also make 2 seed makers, which allows me to start mulching the ancient fruit I've been collecting to turn them into seeds for the brand spanking new see-through building the Junimos renovated. Speaking of which, I make a couple more quality sprinklers, in addition to 3 more kegs, and scythe away my quickly grown placeholder wheat and plant the aforementioned fall seeds. During all of that faffing about, I was able to squeeze 14 ancient seeds out of my 6 ancient fruit, which I will absolutely call a win. And that's not the only thing getting squeezy, as my kegs have delivered on my first batch of pumpkin juice. 'Tis a good day to be me. I plonk down the last 3 kegs, completing my little keg section I've got going on, refill them with even more pumpkins, and walk away with 18 pumpkin juice on hand ready for selling. As if that wasn't cause enough for a celebratory jiggle, I walk into my slime hutch to see that I now have 2 little slimes! I quickly refilled the slime press and bung another egg into the incubator, getting my ankles nibbled for my troubles. Do slimes have teeth? Would they be sharp? One sec. Wait, why am I Googling this? I've got shit to do. The animals of course get seen to, but it's nice to see both buildings completely filled with animals now. It just makes my heart feel full, you know? I moved my crab pots from the top of the pond down to the bottom to join my designated fishing area and enjoy the rewards of these ponds with a hefty amount of roe, especially from the angler giving me 4 pieces on his first day. That's what I like to see. I'm only just now realizing that you can see the shadow of the specific fish in each pond sometimes, and I absolutely love this little attention to detail, with it being being Friday, I take a break to go and check on the traveling cart, only to once again find myself wondering why I even bothered. I could have bought a pomegranate, but I've already planted a tree and I would rather sandpaper my earlobes than waste a good purchase. I'm also not in the habit of wasting time, so I bid the traveling cart farewell and continue my morning. The cave mushrooms get yoinked, so too do the oak resin and pine tars. I say hi to Robin, who's once again hard at work doing yet another task, before I decide to, at last, organise the greenhouse. It may be a modest ancient fruit setup, but it's mine, and I've got to start somewhere. Once all that's taken care of, I pop back into my shed to dump off my rows, and it's a good thing I did, as when refilling the jars with the mutant carp row, I filled up the straggler jar I've ignored for a total of 3 days, which to my knowledge is a new record set for the fastest correction of my past idiocy. All that's left is to sell off my processed goods, grab a snack from the fridge, and I can finally leave the confines of my ranch at 3 PM. Fuck me, there's just so much to do nowadays. That's not gonna stop me from checking the notice board and seeing that Caroline wants a largemouth bass. What is the big deal with this big green fish? Honestly, this isn't interest anymore. It's full-blown addiction. Good thing I accidentally grabbed a couple on my way out. Good heavens. I accept the request and add it to the list of tasks needing to be done today, the first of which is paying Clint a visit to retrieve my steel pan, only to immediately request its golden upgrade in the same breath. Although I try not to inhale too deeply, as this place reeks with all sorts of Clinty smells. I then run over to the museum where Caroline's quietly reading a book in the corner. Sorry to disturb your solo time, but here's that pumpkin you wanted for you and Abby. Thank you for the 500 gold, and here's your big green fish that's all the rage these days. Enjoy your reading, Caroline! Next up, I make a quick detour into the sewers because it's high time I acquired something from Krobus. He's not very talkative today. No matter, as my money will do the talking for me, as I buy his star drop and my third one of the valley. Trophies. Thank you, Krobus. Clambering out from the town's underbelly, I head over to Gus's pub to give Emily the big green fish she wanted. Maybe I shouldn't have brought it with me to the sewer thinking about it, but hey, she doesn't seem to mind. And to get another prize ticket for my troubles. One that I immediately go and cash in at Lewis's house, because this time I'm rewarded with a copy of Combat Quarterly, which funnily enough upon reading, gives me combat experience. I know, that's wild. Who on earth could have seen that coming? But you know what they say, there's only so much you can learn from a book. So I make my way to the bus stop, oh hi Pam, and get trotting along to the Oh right, Pam needs to actually be here to take me, doesn't she? Shit. Plan B. Who wants to go to the regular mines? Look, we make the best out of leftovers, okay? I quickly speak to the dwarf and buy the floor recipe he has for a future project. And is it spring? Because I'm resetting floor 40 again. Didn't think I'd be in here again so soon, and I'm sure it needs no introduction, but it's been a little bit. So just to refresh, I'm getting iron, coal from dust sprites, and working on said sprites bounty of 500 kills. However, we've seen this so many times, I'm not going to bore you with the details. Instead, why don't we talk about how this is day 75, huh? That's 3/4 of the way through this 100 days journey. Isn't that crazy? That feels milestone worthy, and something to say thank you to all of you watching who've been enjoying this series as I've been making it. So thank you all so much, it's always appreciated. Okay, let's get back to it because I need to explain why I veered off course and started hoeing about down here. You see, I thought I'd try my luck at finding the snow yam for the community centre. I'm not at this for long, mind you, as I had the common sense to just wait for winter, but only after trying to bomb an entire floor's soil to Kingdom Come. I'm glad I did stop because I've since learned that you can't find snow yams in the cave. I don't know why I thought I could, but I'm glad I found out before wasting any more of our time and looking like a right dingus. I stay in the caves mining away until just gone midnight, where after a quick inventory check, realise how good the skull caverns actually are for collecting stuff in comparison. Oh well, we do what we can, right, Cyclopalot? Yeah, that's right, you good little horse. Back on the farm, I tried to eke out as much time as possible by shutting the animal doors, planting another ancient seed because apparently I was dumb enough to leave one out earlier, and sort through all of my recycling machines and fish smokers. But I might have got a bit lax with my time management, as I try my best to get to bed on time, only to miss the bed by a Clive's length, and unceremoniously crash onto the floor for a rather uncomfortable night's sleep. I might have a bruise tomorrow, but an influx of 20 grand into my pockets does cushion the fall, if albeit purely hyperbole. Hey, do you like drinks? As I'm recording the voiceover for today, I'm having what's known as a 3-drink circus. It also goes by brunch or 3-drink theory, but the main premise is that I have drinks on rotation for every mood. Peach-flavoured water for hydration, coffee in a friend's mug for working. The friend's mug is a vitally important component for the full effect of caffeine-induced productivity. And finally, for a bit of zesty fun, a mango Pepsi, because any fruit Pepsi is the absolute bee's knees, and I won't hear a word about it otherwise. Apparently this is meant to be an indicator of ADHD, although I think that's a bit of a stretch. Ooh, mail! Emily sent me a recipe for a red plate, a pretty middling colour for a china plate, but as a dish consisting of radishes, red cabbage, and red onions, I mean, it's not escargot levels of disgusting, but I'm finding it difficult to imagine enjoying it. I guess it depends on how it's prepared, but for now, I'm going with the 2 out of 10 on the Xals Munch scale. Vegetable conjecture aside, who's ready to speed through today's chores? Hey Archibald!
Fuck off!
There we go, another round of morning tasks done. Only a couple of new things occurred today. Firstly, I found a truffle just to the side of my barn, meaning my pigs are starting to sniff them out. Who's a good fat piggy? Yeah, that's you. The other thing is that my ice pips are asking for a crystal fruit. A rather modest ask, all things considered. However, I'm a bit distracted picturing what a crystal fruit tree would look like. I want one. Back to reality, however, I finally saved enough eggs to complete Gus's request, so I packed them up all nice and neat in my backpack. Okay, maybe not neatly, but shut up, along with some other necessities for the day, and venture forth. If you thought my parting would lead anywhere other than the notice board, then you're one slow little goose. Lewis is wanting a sandfish to rub on his back? Ew. I was almost tempted to deny this request because I feel it sets a bad precedent for what's expected of me. I don't because I'm a compulsory completionist, but let it be known, it was considered. I waddle my way over to the community centre, where I offer up my freshly acquired truffle to the chef's bundle, completing it and rewarding me with 3 pink cakes. I approve. Thank you for my sweet treats. But I'm just as big a fan of the savoury ones, and it's long overdue that Gus gets his omelette ingredients. Hi Gus, just gonna pop these in your fridge if you don't mind. Isn't it weird to think that our first interaction was me raiding your bins when I first moved in? Look at me now! I'm actively contributing to your establishment. There you go, buddy. All stocked up. Thank you for the 3 grand, my man. And you gotta let me know how this omelette shakes out. Catch you later. In stark contrast to yesterday where I didn't get off the farm until 3 PM, I'm actually done with all of my daily tasks by 1:30 today. Suck it, Time Lords. I'm in control. And as such, I of course plan on eking out as much time as I can justify in the Skull Caverns. Well, that's quite a few plums unplucked. Let me just fix that real quick. There we go. To the desert, Pam.
The wheels on the bus go round and round.
Before I delve into danger, I make sure to fish up a sandfish for Lewis real quick. Sorry, buddy, your life's gonna get a hell of a lot worse soon. But let's not focus on that. It's Danger Cave time! If today's mining expedition was a cereal, it would be a golden statue of a Junimo. Not at all what I asked for, but hardly a reason for complaint. Firstly, I find another lost book after bombing on floor 1, ironically still intact. It must be a hardcover. No, but for real, this is not a good place to read. Please stop doing that, whoever's responsible. I fly through a few floors with little to nothing of note happening, and I decide to be a little bit cheeky, making a staircase from 99 stone to lazily glide on past floor 15, only to find myself clambering down into an extremely well-ornate room that's giving textbook boss battle vibes. Seriously, I can't shake the feeling that this is some kind of intricate puzzle room hiding some deeper secret. Of course, it's literally just a room, but it's a well-designed room, and I appreciate that. I cheekily cheat my way out of this room with yet another staircase, only to be immediately rewarded with both an infested floor and another earth crystal for my stonefish. It feels karmically unjust to be rewarded for my laziness, especially when I'm about to do something far worse. Hey, real quick, what's a word used to describe an uncontrollable urge for bloodshed? Bloodlust. Correct! On floor 19, I slay a big slime and its subsequent minis for them to drop 2 diamonds and a purple slime egg. Needless to say, I was very happy with this. The happiness continues as I make my way through floor 21 Cinnamon Swirl layout and find a pair of dark boots in the crates at the center, which whilst being objectively worse than my current ones, match my hat better and make me look like a proper dashing cowboy. For the 3rd time today, I dabble in the cheeky skipping of a floor, only to now find myself in an overgrown cave. A bat attacks me instantly, but this one's bigger, stronger, and radiating a purple glow. The iridium bat, as it's called, brings a much needed beefcake to the bat family. And oh look, it drops iridium ore. Neat. Now I have time to collect myself. Is that a fucking dinosaur? Welcome to a prehistoric floor. A rare floor that can sometimes spawn with these big lumbering dinosaurs that can also breathe fire, because clearly they weren't terrifying enough. It also counts as another infested floor, meaning I have to slay all these beasties in order to proceed. Not that I mind in the slightest, as I've been on the lookout for these bad boys for quite a while. Firstly, cutting them up gives me prehistoric bones, which I need for Gunther's museum. Plus I want to get some for Clive, he deserves a big treat. The second reason involves why I started making a second coop. However, more on that some other time, as I don't get what I need to warrant further expounding on that thought. In fact, this floor was quite small, housing only 5 pepper X's in total, but hey, I did get some bones, so we take that. Oh, also fiddlehead ferns are abundant here, but like, Does anyone really care? That little detour took me a long time as these dinos hit absurdly hard, so it's not long after I need to warp out for the night. But that was an absurdly fun time running through the caverns today, an almost complete reversal both practically and storytelling wise from the last time I was there. The night ends with me seeing to the usual nightly duties, putting things away, refilling machines, and shutting the animals in for the night. I find 2 more truffles scattered about, meaning we're in full swing with these little brown delights, and I remember to give my ice pips their crystal fruit. Oh, I'm happy for you little ones. I do end up passing out next to my slime hutch because I'm nothing if not a consistent idiot, but it's fine, Robin will surely see me and drag me to bed. Please? A guy's allowed to hope, okay? I make it just under 10 grand for my honey empire and fade into unconsciousness wondering if staircases have the innate ability to plonk me into interesting places. Just some food for thought is all. I awake on day 77 all jiggly and excited because my favourite Sunday morning cooking show is airing once again. Today I learned how to make glazed yams. Gotta admit, never had a yam before. I guess I've always just been more of a sweet potato kind of guy, but allegedly they taste quite different from each other and not in a bad way. Apparently this is a common US Thanksgiving delicacy with the sweetness rivaling candied apples. It's honestly quite bizarre to me being from across the pond in the land of cucumber sandwiches and rich tea biscuits, but I'd be more than down to give this a try because every instance of it I've seen looks so damn tasty. 7 out of 10 on the Xals Munch scale. It's a very curious dish. But enough glazing of the yams, it's time to get up and greet the full breeze. Gus has sent me a whole damn mini fridge as thanks for the egg delivery yesterday. Mate, you already paid me 3 grand, this was hardly necessary, but thank you. Harvey's also finally upped the pricing for his medical expertise, which whilst my wallet is extending the middle finger, it's nice to see Harvey with some self-worth. Well done, sir. As we've got quite the busy day ahead, what do you say we once again speed through the morning routine? Chores always go by faster with a musical interlude. One thing that's different today is that I actually don't see to my animals at the moment, as well as clear up the area surrounding them for an easier time getting these buildings into their permanent placements, seeing as my second coop is now complete. With it being Sunday, I gallop over to the travelling cart who, once again, doesn't have what I'm looking for, but I buy a portion of pumpkin soup as a seasonal snack, along with a poppy seed muffin as a little treat. I'm gonna need the calories for today as I return to the farm to sort through my overflowing backpack, filled to the brim with various sellables, openables, and giftables just waiting to fulfill their purpose. So let's not waste any time and get busy. I trot along the scenic route, aka the backwoods, to reach Robin's. Hey, there's my favourite wood handler. Get out of the way, Demetrius, I'm trying to innuendo with your wife. Thank you. Anyways, thanks for the new coop. I have no doubt it will stand the test of time. A little birdie told me that it's your birthday today, so have this goat's cheese. I made it myself. Happy day of birth and thank you for all your hard work. So... you ready for some more? I first have to buy some wood, which honestly feels a bit like a cardinal sin, but needs must at the moment. I get up to 350 pieces and proceed to move my buildings to their rightful places. The right side gets completely locked in with the barn, coop, and silo all nice and organised. I go to move the second coop over, and this one pissy little shrub is blocking my way. How does this teeny tiny little weed prevent this presumably heavy-ass building from being built? Ugh, it's fine, it's fine. I instead move my greenhouse a little to the right out of childish protest, and at the very least I can get my second barn built exactly where I planned it on being. Yes, please work on it tomorrow, enjoy your birthday. Migrating south into town, I check the notice board to see George is wanting a breen for a burrito he's making, one of the more normal requests of the valley, and quite frankly I'm glad it's not a fucking largemouth bass. I make a quick stop into Pierre's to sell off some goods, making just shy of 20 grand. I can't tell if Pierre is still peeved at me about the fair, so I decide to finally buy the dehydrator recipe as a show of goodwill. Monetary influx and dehydration dominance being welcome side effects, of course. Moving right along, I steal from Clint's bins because I'm a freak, reclaim my golden pan from his sweaty palms, and ask him to quickly get to cracking open my geode stockpile. My artifact troves had a couple of chipped bowls hidden away inside. Oh, they're amphora, those cheeky Romans. The mystery boxes once again provide snacks aplenty, along with a rather garish wallpaper, which will 100% sit in my inventory never to be used. And in the final box of this batch, my second prismatic shard. I really want to eat it. Is that bad? It looks like it would taste good, all fruity, maybe a bit sour, and oh my god, this must be how Abigail got started munching rocks. Let's just donate these before I start getting urges. Another 6 items get put out for display, including the dinosaur bones we found last night. As thanks, Gunther gives me some big cups of coffee, which is all too appreciated, and 2/3 of a sloth skeleton. God, that's really hard to do when you have a lisp. And what kind of sloth is that? Jeez. I don't have time to ponder such oddities as I'm back at Clint's opening the last of my geodes. Nothing particularly noteworthy to speak of, and I buy coal until I have 50 pieces before spending 25 grand along with 5 iridium bars to invest in my second iridium tool, the iridium pan. The only reason this is my next tool upgrade is due to the promise of randomly occurring loot on my daily walks. I'm a sucker for random finds. Adios, Clintopalopagus. Strolling through town, I find the price ticket earned for my egg delivery and immediately turn it in for a cup of tea innit. This will go in the fridge until I can decide who I want to pump full of hearts. I then take a moment to breathe as I've been a bit all over the place today when I stumbled across a run-down caravan, or an overturned can of tuna depending on how you look at it. Who lives here? Oh, hi. No, don't apologize. I kind of just barged in here out of pure curiosity. Now that you mention it, it is a bit messy in here. Do you want a hand or anything? I really can't stand a mess. My skin feels like it's on fire looking at this. Yes, of course I mean it. Come on, let's get cracking. We can bash this out in no time. You take care of the sink of dishes. I'll see to the undefinable green stain, and is that an adult nappy? Hi! On today's episode of British Synonyms for Dummies, nappy is a British word for diaper, but when searching for the origin of the word, you know, just to make sure I wasn't feeding you, well, shit, I am correct, but I also found that in US English, it's a derogatory word used to describe black people's hair. In fact, I got quite distracted learning about the history of a word that's existed in tandem with the one I quite literally grew up in. It was a fascinating read, and one that thankfully ends in a reclamation of the word to celebrate black hair and all of its qualities. Oh, hi, Pam. I'm talking about words and their meanings? You're kind of breaking the fourth wall here. Only I'm allowed to do this for comedic and commentary purposes. Oh, right, the cleaning. Yeah, sorry, everyone. We're gonna have to cut this dictionary expedition short. Let me just dial back into Stardew. What do you mean just the way you like it? You had dirty clothes on the floor, and judging by the green stain on the sofa, the context clues would suggest you got creamed by Shrek. Penny tries to calm things down by telling Pam the truth, but then she gets a whiff of alcohol on Pam's breath, and it starts to spiral out of control with addiction and neglect at the forefront. Penny gets super mad. I mean, just look at her eyes. And if I hadn't been there, it wouldn't be hard to assume something worse would have happened. This just got way too serious way too quickly. I'm told to leave, but I'm not sure if I should, honestly. However, the choice is made for me, but not before taking a quick glance back at Penny for reassurance. Once I'm gone, Pam says I'm a nice young man, which if that's the case, I'd hate to see nasty, before telling Penny off for getting me involved in the cleaning. I mean, I offered, but a rather dejected Penny apologizes anyway. Geez, I knew Pam liked the odd beverage, but I didn't know how bad it actually was. It's always been the butt of a joke, but that was hard to watch. I meander about rummaging through the trash just to try and clear my head, but I can't. And it doesn't feel right to carry on my day without checking up on Penny. Penny, are you okay? Do you want to talk? She doesn't look at me and rambles on about banana slugs. And pressing her further just sees her digging her heels in more. Penny, you don't have to talk, but please, at least eat something. Here, have a poppy seed muffin. And if you ever do want to talk, I'm here, okay? I'll see you around. Well, time to slap a sandfish on Lewis's back. I find him loitering about in Cindersap Forest because God forbid he do any actual mayoring. Lewis, call me Ned Flanders because I'm trying my gosh darn diddly darndest to be both effective and empathetic. Now here's your sandfish, you weirdo. I've got things to do. Back on the farm, I fill up my fridge and put away all my newly acquired knickknacks, clear out the rest of my inventory by bugging it into the shipping bin, and quickly sow a small patch of wheat before heading back out. I take the bus to the desert, making sure my body language is screaming, "Don't you dare talk to me, Pam," as I do so. Collect a cluster of coconuts and down a lucky lunch before jumping right back into Skull Cavern delving. Today's expedition begins with me elbow deep in a purple slime to fish out the pink egg you'd eaten, as well as being knee deep in shit as I almost die to a jolly green serpent. Off to a good start. I liberate some coal from a satchel, and that, along with my earlier bought bomb coal, is making mining and descending the floors a breeze. Avast ye, serpents 3, kindly get the hell off of me. Not that they listened, mind you, because on the next floor, a purple mist descends, bringing with it a buttload of serpents. Come at me, wiggly woos! Still no red cabbage, but it's not for lack of trying. A couple more gemstones get added to the ever-growing hoard, but more importantly, descending the ladder down to floor 15 is, and I shit you not, another dinosaur floor. Yes! Round 2, dino dummies. Ugh, what's wrong with that fly? Ugh, kill it before it touches me. Ugh. This floor's quite a bit bigger than yesterday, housing around 8 or so pepperexes, and after getting scorched, burned and flambéed to the point where smoking hot becomes quite literal, I kill a dino and it drops what I've been searching for, a dinosaur egg. Remember the incubators in the fully upgraded coop I talked about a few days ago? That's right, I'll eventually have my own little dinosaurs running around the farm. They'll get along great with the chickens. Did you know chickens are technically speaking modern day dinosaurs? It's true, look it up. It's another fascinating read. I digress, however. For now, dinosaurs on the farm is a long time in the future, and it's getting really late, so I slay everything else on this floor before having the good sense to walk back home once again. There we go, another great day of getting stuff done in the mines. Just goes to show, if you put in the time, you can really start to see, I forgot to check on the animals today. Oh god, I didn't even let them out. Are they okay? Well, it looks like they're all well fed, just petted and unloved. I'm sorry, little ones. A lot happened in town today. It just slipped my mind. I'll give you all extra pets tomorrow, I promise. Fatigue's hit me like a sack of bricks, so I make sure my dino egg is stored away all nice and secure. No, I don't put it in the fridge because I might accidentally eat it, and snuggle into bed making just the absolute fattest stack of cash I've seen so far. Look at all those pennies. Oh, damn it. I don't know about you, but I for one did not get a good night's rest. Partly because Penny's situation has been weighing on my mind, but mostly because I somehow ended up going to sleep with the rib of an unknown creature. And by God, is that an uncomfortable amount of poking. The spirits seem pleased at my discomfort, however, so at least my suffering has some meaning. Ugh, I'm on my way. Oh, it's Evelyn. Sorry I'm a bit grumpy. I didn't get much sleep last night. You know how it is. Turns out she's brought me a little gift. A garden pot, which allows me to grow any seasonal plants indoors. Evelyn's kindness doesn't stop there, as she also teaches me how to make my own, should I wish to. I love this sweet old woman. Aw, you too. Thank you for stopping by. Riding that high of a social interaction, I check my mail to see that Robin sent me her recipe for pumpkin soup. I'm getting a lot of recipes recently. Not that I mind in the slightest, however, as pumpkin soup is an absolute winner. I love it when soups turn orange. Maybe it's the toddler part of my brain craving visual stimuli, but the vibrancy and savouriness of pumpkin soup hits on a whole different level. Definitely a podium spot contender worthy to sit next to the likes of pure vegetable as well as leek and potato. 8 out of 10 on the Zalwood Munch scale. Scrumptious! Do I have any other mail? Oh, geez, it really is a roller coaster of a morning, huh? I guess if that's what Penny wants, I'll respect her wishes. I don't want to make things worse after all. I'll swallow my pride and try to smooth things over with Pam later. For now, let's focus on the fact that it's the last week of fall. You know what that means. It's time for another operation. Introducing Operation Kit Kat, the simplest operation to date with only 3 goals in mind. Firstly, I want to reach level 10 combat. I've been at it for a while now, so I must be close, and I desperately want to know what's behind the door in Cindersap Forest. Secondly, and this will tickle the pickle of many of you, I want to get some decorating done, specifically some pathing in certain building interiors. I know, it's about time. It'll be highly unlikely I'll complete any of it, but I can at least do something visually appealing, rather than my usual plonk things anywhere mindset. And lastly, but certainly not least, drum roll please. I'm gonna get a cat. Yes, it's time I added another pet to the homestead. My craving for a feline companion has grown insatiable, and I must have myself an adorable little porch kitty. Simple goals they may be, but these goals are the ones I'm most excited for yet. With the goals laid out for this final week, what's new on the farm today? I cut down some of my long-standing trees as my wood situation is getting rather dire, along with more that had grown in the southeast corner. I got another copy of Witty Secrets for my lumberjacking, which I'll stash away for a rainy day for a smutty read. I'm now a proud slime dad of 3 little goobles, and I start to incubate a 4th. The children yearn for my shins. Stop headbutting me, I'm providing you siblings and shelter. Another round of ancient fruit is ready, so I make another seed maker for a total of 3, as well as 2 more preserve jars. Get the former pumping out ancient seeds, and dunk the latter into the shed, working on my row stockpile. 5 more ancient fruit get added to the greenhouse, and finally I go to milk my animals, forget my milk pail, and then... Shut up! Dumbassery aside, the rest of the chores go by like clockwork, grinding away like a monotonous grandfather clock, much like Robin is working on my new barn. And as clocks often do, time is ticking away, so I bid my farm adieu and set off into the world once again. You know I'm heading straight for that notice board, and Clint's wanting 8 gold ore. I'll accept it, but that's purely out of habit, as I have no intention on helping this twit with his job. One person I will help, however, is George with his bream. So after raiding his bins and getting some of those classic bin biscuits, I take some time to fish, only to come to the realization that bream aren't around until 6 PM. No matter, I'm sure I'll remember to fish it up later. Right? The special request board has a pair of jobs for me once again, and Willie's bug me request has resurfaced, making my choice practically automatic, as I accept the request from the wizard to instead collect some ectoplasm from a ghost. I would literally rather drain the goo out of the spirits of the dead than be covered in bug guts. Sorry, Willie. Making my way to the bus stop, I nervously hoover up all the forage in the area to put off talking to Pam. A plan that works for barely 10 seconds, mind you, but it was an extra 10 seconds to prepare me mentally, as I picked myself up by the bootstraps and give Pam a "please let's just smooth this over" diamond. It works, however her follow-up comments make my eye twitch. Come on Zal, be nice, or at the very least tolerant, even if she's audacious as fuck. Sure, maybe sometime we'll send over some homegrown veg. Get me on this flipping bus before my eyes explode out of my forehead. Oh, thank God, the desert. Before I make good on one of Operation Kit Kat's goals, I need to take care of a previously mentioned ongoing issue. You see these 150 pine cones? We're making our very own desert forest. With my current Skull Cavern obsession, my once thriving wood stockpile has been reduced to scraps. So to mitigate this, welcome to Plan B. Oh yes, this was not my first idea. However, my shortages come right before winter, and as I'm unsure as to whether trees can even grow during that season, my original plan to turn the train station area into a beautiful nature trail and to fix my tapper empire to that section of the valley will sadly have to wait for a good while. In the desert though, the sun remains high in the sky no matter the season, so these trees will grow no matter what, making it the best choice fundamentally, but turning the desert aesthetic into an absolute mess. This is not a permanent change, just one born out of necessity, as wood is vital for my winter plans, but that's a story for next season. For now, I place all 150 acorns into the dirt, I mean sand, and quickly make my way into the caverns for another spelunking session. I'm hopeful for some interesting finds given the spirits are showering me in good luck, and right off the bat I get an iridium bar off a big purple slime. I might be in for some luck after all. Further on, I find a standard mummy floor, but this ghost is giving me pause to question. Are these eligible to drop ectoplasm? These are technically called carbon ghosts, which are different from the plain old ghosts from the regular mines. But I don't know if the wizard's quest is picky about the specific type, or if it's just the overarching enemy type. Questions for another time, as the deeper floors are spitting out an absurd amount of gemstones. Floor 12 especially has multiple amethysts and emeralds just lying about, along with my third earth crystal for the stonefish. I also kill a small purple slime who drops another rare purple slime egg, and when I destroy all the crates nearby, a ruby and a jester suit pop out. It's just treasure galore today. I don't think the jester suit quite fits me. Maybe if I had a clown nose like that one at the fair I could pull this off, but it's another free outfit, and I like free things. On the next floor there's another big slime with a big pink cake inside. Who the hell is baking cakes for the slimes? Should I bake some for mine? I wonder. I mean, what's the harm, right? Wait, back up a sec. Did I just see a dinosaur roaming around? I did see a dinosaur just roaming around. Neat. The next 3 hours go by pretty uneventfully, just a lot of bombing big clusters and steady progress. That is until I reach floor 22. A gaggle of crates is once again slaughtered, bequeathing me with a small decorative crystal and a lucky ring. I can now finally, if only slightly, combat against the dreadful luck I'm often cursed with. After attaining new power, and spending a bit longer than I usually would down here purely due to it being a good luck day, I teleport out of the cavern at a frosty 1 AM. No level 10 combat yet. However, my inner crow is full of joy with all the shinies I found today. Speaking of shiny, maybe I should take off the magnet ring for the luck ring instead of my glow ring, because it's dark as dicks out here. Ah, much better. The night concludes with me finding a couple more truffles waiting for me to scavenge, and deciding to use what little time left in the night to cut down some more trees. A bit of relaxing wood chopping for me. Robin, look out! Oh, thank God you're okay. The same can't be said for me, however, as the shock of what just happened causes me to faint right next to a truffle that dared tried to hide from my sight behind a tree, bringing an end to a rather all over the place day. But hey, maybe now I can get a good night's sleep, if albeit involuntarily. Ugh, ow, my head. Maybe I should cut out the late night tree chopping from my itinerary, at least while Robin's still here. Don't want any preventable accidents after all. At least no one got seriously hurt. And hey, Linus found me unconscious last night, so at least there's that. Wait, my pockets got rifled through? Did Robin rob me? No, that's gotta be a mistake. I mean, it's not like I don't pay her enough, geez. Must have been some opportunistic rapscallion. Or, you know, Clint. It's too wet to think right now. Instead, I'm just gonna make some raisins and listen to the delightful plops of my penultimate cranberry harvest. Oh, that sound will never cease to tickle my brain. On to business. If I want a cat this week, I need to recoup my spending money. The cranberries are a big help, and luckily for me, the farm is also willing to provide with more. I make full seeds until I have a total of 44 and convert them into tree saplings, my longest standing method of a quick and easy cash grab. Following this, I make the final preserve jar for my current shed setup, collect and add to my ever-growing stockpile of iridium bars, thank you skull caverns, and finally pay a visit to the shed and holy! We're in the big money today, gurgle nerds. We're looking at the fruits of my labor, with 21 pumpkin juice and a veritable assortment of aged legendary fish roe. And look, the shed's now complete. I'm well aware I can technically add more jars and kegs to the end of each row, but if you've ever played this game on console, which even as an avid trophy hunter I highly recommend against, it's as awkward as a fart in church trying to finagle the joysticks to hover over the right machine. But it's not like I was ever going to be hyper-optimized anyway, as if my rampant tomfoolery, random placement, and sarcastic demeanor with a penchant for storytelling weren't all dead giveaways. Anyways, my rabbits grew up and have started to shed. It's nice to now have a source of wool that doesn't come from the undead. Less dead person on the material, you know? Oh, look at their fat little bums. Cute. The rest of the morning goes by quickly with nothing of note happening, so I'm able to swiftly gather up a plethora of items and run along into town. Die, wiggle wham spot. Yeah, take that. I pop into Pierre's ready to crash the market.
Here comes the money.
Well, that was a lot more than I thought. What was that, like 60 grand? Damn. Thank you very much, Pierre. Stepping outside, I run straight into Evelyn and nearly knock the poor woman over. She talks about putting raisins in George's oatmeal, which I initially read as razors and got mildly concerned, before I realized I'm a buffoon. Don't stay out in the rain too long, Granny, you'll catch a cold. Galloping along the eastern grass, I arrive at Clint's to retrieve my iridium pan. Look at it, it's so shiny. Can't wait to pan up all sorts with this bad boy. Cracking open my geodes and mystery boxes today, I'm pleasantly surprised by the contents, as I get 2 shiny new rings for my collection, a spare pomegranate seed for the greenhouse, and more than enough earth crystals to finish up my long-standing stonefish request. There's a few new museum donatables too, but before I saunter off to return some long-forgotten history, I put my watering can in for its steel upgrade. Might as well, since I don't need it at the moment, and I don't really want to spend too much, you know? Slippy sliding into the museum, I have another 3 items placed in their proper places, and I managed to complete the green and blue sections of the museum. It's so organized and colourful, I love it! There's no new rewards today, but no matter. Seeing substantial progress is enough for me. I take a step outside to once again get pelted by rain, but I also spot Penny sat on the bridge overlooking the river. Curiously, she talks about how lovely the pitter-patter of raindrops sound in her trailer, but you're not in your trailer, Penny. You're out here getting sopping wet. Ooh, panic spot!
Shimmy, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yeah.
Ooh, I'm not gonna lie. 5 coal on my walkabout. Kinda neat. You wanna know what else is neat? Here, come a little closer while the thunder strikes. I have enough money to comfortably get a cat now. Hey, Marnie. I would like to purchase 1 ginger cat, please. They're the silliest of all the cat colours. As for his name, I mean, Nonna's is a pretty cute default name to be sure, but I shall name thee Fergal. Nah, that doesn't work. It's not giving ginger cat vibes. Bubbles! Welcome to the family. Eager to get home, I buy my lovely new little Furball his very own cat treat, say thank you to Marnie, and sprint back home to see my lovely new addition. Side note, I dug up a stunning walnut chair on the way. Who's out here burying perfectly nice chairs? Because I doubt the Wigglewams built it themselves. I'm getting off topic. Boom! New cat tree installed. Now where oh where is my little... Oh, he's shy. Don't worry, little guy. Here, I'ma just put this lovely straw hat on your head, and you can nap right behind Mr. Blue Bear, okay? And Clive snuggled up in bed too, I can't. I fucking love animals, man. While I'm back here, I finally give my stonefish their long-awaited earth crystals, and they respond with a celebratory splish splash as expected. I then make a swift exit to the desert, get blinded by the startling difference in weather, buy 5 more spicy eels because it's the yummiest dish, and deep dive once again into the Skull Caverns. On today's episode of Xals' Unhealthy Obsession, strap in because a lot happened today. anyway, floor 2 provides me with the most iridium ore I've seen in one place to date, which I of course yoink with glee. There's another satchel of coal on floor 7, and on floor 9, after getting a mummy triple kill, one of them drops a miner's treat, confirming that this was indeed a small family I just blew to Kingdom Come. Floor 13 is overrun with monsters, which is starting to become a blessing given how close I am to level 10 combat, and Lady Luck seems to think so too, as the first slime I kill drops a diamond and a purple slime egg. Such valuable trinkets. Oh, and also... Unfortunately, the violence does not stop there, as the purple mist descends on the following floor, along with a slew of serpents. Whilst eradicating them all does refill my spicy eels, yet again, there's no red cabbage. Unfortunate, but not unexpected. Once stealing coal from a minecart later, I almost perish from a pride of slimes, trying to exact their revenge for their fallen brethren. A close call, but nothing ingesting oodles of food doesn't solve. Speaking of solved, I definitively have an answer to yesterday's question. Yes, you do get ectoplasm from the Skull Cavern ghosts. Following that stroke of luck, the next floor leads me to a treasure room, which yields to me another prismatic shard. I will keep this tucked away for an important task in the future, but for now, let's focus on the fact that cracking these crates open revealed powder melon seeds, which I do believe is the first ever winter crop. Very excited to see how these will look. Love a good melon. Aside from a cloud of bats swarming me at one point, the rest of the night goes by pretty uneventfully, and as the animals were shut in for today due to the rain, I decide to maximize my time in here until my body gives up, which it does right on time at 2 AM on floor 31. Normally I'd be terrified of getting eaten in my sleep, but after my devilishly efficient slaughter of anything in my path, I doubt there's anything left today to pose a threat. I fade into unconsciousness hoping Bubbles is settling in okay, and that Clive is treating the new addition to the family with affection and care. Oh my gosh, everyone be quiet. Bubbles and Clive are sharing the carpet. Look at them. Who's my special little guys? Yeah, that's right, you are. I step outside to let my favourite furballs sleep, and once again, it's pissing down rain. Jojacore brought me back from the mines last night. Considering I cleared the way for them, I find it almost cheeky to be billed a grand, when I was most certainly not in any danger. But we all knew they sucked from the start, so why call a spade a spade? Here's all the treasure I dug up yesterday, by the way. I was so focused on systematic slaughter that I forgot to showcase for all you curious beavers. But enough dilly-dallying, what's new today? I learned that I can put cactus fruit into the dehydrators. Add that to the list of pleasant surprises. My grapes and broccoli are in, so get heckin' yoinked! And the last few shed stragglers have churned out their goodies. Hooray for me! One thing I neglected to mention yesterday is that my fruit trees I planted oh so long ago have finally grown into some majestic looking trees. They're also bearing the final fruit needed for the community centre. There we go, another long-standing goal ticked off. As for the short-term checklist, we've got batteries, mushroom, pine tar, and oak resin to collect. I take a quick breather to sell off the straggling artisanals, hop inside to grab my third apple for the community. Bubbles is tucked up in bed! The farmyard animals get sufficiently petted and snuggled. I clear out this section to make absolutely sure I can place my newly finished coop here as soon as I can, and see to my industrial-sized fish empire. Remember back in spring, my only concern was getting fucking potatoes watered? Such a simple time. Back to the present. I take a break to go wander through Cindersap. I gotta make some time to deforest again when I can. No, I will not get distracted from my goal with another one of nature's fish sales, thank you. My goal being to deliver the ectoplasm I got yesterday to the wizard. Here you go. Aw, can I watch please? I promise I can be quiet. Ouch. Okay, maybe quiet is a bit of a stretch, but those were my feelings, good sir. Fine, I'll leave you to your work. Thank you for the 2.5 grand, I guess. Well, moving right along from what might possibly be the politest insult I've been dealt. Back on the farm, another round of fairy rose honey is ready. Good job, Rolo. And rounding up the morning chores is another visit to my mushroom cave. Now that I'm 80 days in, I can confidently say I would much rather have the fruit bats, given how much the mushroom logs contribute to my mushroom haul. They've essentially made this cave obsolete long term. The free dehydrator was nice for the earlier seasons though. Please let me know what cave you all prefer in the comments. That being said, shall we pop into town? The best recurring character, the notice board, has another quest for me. Shane wants corn, and Shane will get corn. What a fanciful way to ask for it as well. One of the more polite requests I've had in recent memory. Wait. One person I will help, however, is George with his bream. I'm sure I'll remember to fish it up later. Right? I completely forgot about it. I should go apologize. Hi, George. I'm really sorry. I completely forgot about your fish. Oh. Well, now I'm sorry for 2 reasons. It's not quite a fish, but I hope you'll appreciate the last daffodil of this year's spring as an apology. Yep, no worries, George. I totally remembered and definitely don't feel worse. Hey, Evelyn, please tell me something sweet and grandmotherly. Of course it is. When it rains, it pours. I leave before I put my foot in it even more. Wandering past Gus's pub, I hear the bustling sounds of a lot of people. Curious, I poke my head in through the door to investigate, and lo and behold, there is a gathering happening, centered around what appears to be a giant omelette. Gus then confirms my intuitive detective deduction and describes it with a passion that makes me salivate. Oh, of course! This is the omelette I donated a week's worth of eggs to help create. I gotta see how this turned out. Willie thinks the mushrooms are a bit chewy, but when pressed on whether or not that's good, he agrees, through a mouthful of mush. Pam, of course, is excited about it being free, the fucking cheap-ass motherfucker. And Robin points out how good the eggs are. Yeah, that's right, my chicky doos and chuckle ducks lay egg good. Robin then follows up with asking where the eggs came from, and Gus quickly points out that they're mine. I feel oddly happy about making Gus proud. The conversation ends with Marley coming up with a killer trademark name, but one that could easily be associated with the work of a fertility clinic. Fertile eggs these are not. As the assembled group scarfs and scrans the remainder of the meal with gusto. Once they all vacate, I pop in to order 10 salads like the good old days, and Gus thanks me for pulling through with the eggs. No problem, man, I'm happy to help. Let me know if you need any more, okay? Take care. That really perked up my day. Next up on the list is a visit to Robin, so I gallop over to see her, and Abby's playing the flute in the rain? I mean, I'm not judging or anything, but she's gonna catch a cold, guaranteed. It's oddly beautiful, though. The sound of the rain and notes combined, I mean... Wait, why am I hiding behind a bush watching this? Ew, stop that. Don't need people associating me with Clint behavior. Hey, Abby! What am I doing out here? Enjoying the weather. What else? Saved it. She'll never know I was almost a pervert. Abby came here to spend some time alone, but then admits that my company doesn't make her gag. In quite a relatable statement to all the socially awkward out there, myself included. She invites me to stay and take shelter under a tree, which absolutely will not keep us dry in the slightest, and talks about how peaceful weather like this can be. A feeling I completely agree with, and that really resonates on a deep personal where the fuck did this harp come from? Don't be impressed by this! Where do I have a harp? How long have I been able to play the harp? Abby, please help me, what's happening? I pull out the harp I've always canonically had on my person and spend some time playing some sweet melodies with Abby. Isn't that lovely? Moving right along, I finally visit Robin and socks on a crock. This is too much socializing for one day. My social battery is getting socially battered. Hi, Robin. I'm glad I know your profession because that's a terrifying opening line otherwise. What? Is this a trick question? Listen, we both know who packs the most wood in our relationship, Robin. They don't call you the master of wood for nothing now, do they? But yes, I have. I've made a couple of chests. I genuinely think that might be it. The mushroom logs can't count, surely. Anyways, Robin gives me a blueprint, which allows me to make both the flute and drum blocks. Thanks, it's just what I've always wanted. She then says how it's great to decorate with things you've made yourself. But Robin, it's so much more fun to decorate with things that you build. Speaking of, do you mind moving my second coop to its permanent home, or that I buy wood until I have 550 and commission a shit upgrade? Cool, thanks. Right, no more socializing, please. I'm not a violent dog, but I damn well know why I bite. Leave me be, please. The day marches on with me going to the community centre, where I finally get to donate 3 apples to the notice board's fodder bundle, completing it and rewarding me with a singular heater. I completely forgot these existed. I also dunk a pomegranate into the enchanter's bundle, leaving only 3 items left to obtain. A rabbit's foot, a snow yam, and that ever-elusive red cabbage. 3 guesses on where I'm heading to next. That's right, it's the desert. That's why you're the smartest kid in the cabbage patch. I down a spicy eel as well as make enough bombs to cause some degree of concern and get to mining. Wait! No wiggle rounds will be safe from me. Today on Skull Cavern Shenanigans, the unthinkable has happened. As after mulling about on the first couple of floors yields next to nothing of note, floor 4 is covered in the ever-recurring purple mist. But after slaying a couple of summoned serpents, I finally succeeded in reaching level 10 combat, marking the 24th of fall as the day where I got all available skills to level 10. Hooray! It also crosses off another goal from Operation Kit Kat. Man, I can't wait to finally see what's behind that mysterious door tomorrow. However, right now, I need to focus on the fact that a few floors later, I slay another serpent, only for it to drop a rabbit's foot. Okay, we're getting closer to the rare drop I'm actually looking for, and this saves my rabbits from having to go through the ordeal of shedding their feet and regrowing them. And yes, that is the headcanon I'm choosing to the width of this universe. Don't question it. Regardless, it's another step in the right direction.
Disappointed!
I swiftly move through floors, now that I have the luxury to do so, stopping to murder serpents along the way when I can, until I reach floor 26, which is another treasure room. This time I get 2 rain totems. Hey, guess what this item does? That's right, I am the Rain Man now. Bet you didn't expect me to know that movie, did you? The expedition for today ends with me getting some rubies, bombing floor after floor of all sorts of resources, and getting 6 coal from a big bomb of normal rocks. I also get 6 more coal from doing a little shimmy, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yeah, and 6 more iridium ore. I absolutely love this pan. 10 out of 10, great investment. I take the bus back home for a nice change of pace, and proceed to once again run over to the community centre, where I drop off my rabbit's foot to the enchanter's bundle, completing it and rewarding me with 5 gold bars. I won't say no to that. What I will say no to is having any remote sense in what the fuck I was trying to do with the last scraps of the night. I tried to cut down a tree, but God got mad, and lazily rode my horse around town before succumbing to exhaustion and sliding off Cyclopalot straight into a puddle. I'm going to assume my head was fried from all the socializing today and my brain battery exploded, because that's the only logical reason to the sheer meandering nature of my ongoings. The effects linger on into my sleep, as I dream of my firstborn son coming into the world, accompanied by the strangest of sounds. I appear to have pissed off Aeolus, god of the winds. Hooray! Snapping back to reality, I get to officially reach level 10 combat. Another difficult choice lays before me, but to insert what might be the nerdiest way I've picked a choice so far, whenever I would play Kingdom Hearts for my brother when we were kids, oh by the way, long Xal lore abbreviated, my older brother is autistic and non-verbal, playing Kingdom Hearts was the first time we actually bonded over anything, and it became a thing where I'd play games, he'd sit and watch, and we would interact with each other. But anyway, I'd always pick the shield right at the start of the game, as it was my favourite and basically the tankier defender build. So in honour of that, I picked defender, giving me 25 bonus HP. Oh, and I also made just under 20 grand. Now get out of here, I've got a social battery to recharge, or maybe replace. Good morning, you delectable little donuts. The spirits may be peeved, but I made it rain. I'm above their approval now. With a fully recharged social battery, accompanied by the love of my 2 fluffy little house pets, it's time to crack on with another day. My mailbox is practically bursting at the seams with letters today, the first of which being from the wizard. You can tell because he used the fancy paper. Oh, that whimsical so-and-so. He tells me that his research is going exceptionally well, and encloses a recipe for a mini obelisk. A rather useful item which I'll be using way later down the line, so thank you for that. I forgive you for your bluntness yesterday. George has sent me his fried eel recipe, making me feel even more ashamed about forgetting his birthday, as the fact that I devour eels on the regular is not common knowledge, but one that George somehow knows about and thought of. I get another letter from Joja, claiming yet another sliver of my overall wealth. Screw you, Morris, you thieving vulture. And the final letter is from Robin, giving me a spare 50 wood she had lying around, further cementing the sentiment that I really should spend some time getting my own wood like I used to. Speaking of Robin, turns out she's now considered one of my best friends, tying for pole position with both Marnie and Emily. Having a trio of weird and wonderful gal pals wasn't on my bucket list, but you won't catch me complaining, even if their quirks have been, shall we say, at the forefront. You'll also be pleased to know that my hearts with Clint are still at 0. Excellent. Farm chore time! My furnaces get fed another serving of iridium ore, I collect some freshly grown wheat from my field, and more jars of various gooey goodness are ready for selling. You okay up there, Robin? You've only just reached the top of my social ladder. Please don't break your neck falling off a literal one. Next up, I visit my slime hutch, where it turns out I do actually have a male slime now. Fuck if I know which one it is, but hey, slime breeding is imminent. Wait, is the one with the antenna male? Well, how about that? It is!
Look at my son.
Now we're just gotta hope that my slime son isn't some sort of hapless incel. Get patted, petted, ignored, and yoinked, and just like that, it's already time to hop into town. The notice board beckons me ever closer, only to reveal that Sandy's wanting a ruby to put on her great-grandfather's gravestone. Jeez. It's a request I can hardly say no to, regardless of my previously mentioned completionism tendencies. Sliding on into Pierre's, I take a moment to sell off all 71 of my accumulated red mushrooms, because they're absolutely useless, along with a smattering of goods making just around 16 grand, before scuttling back home to collect an assortment of items needed for today, most notably the ruby for Sandy, which I'm genuinely shocked I have, considering this is the primary currency for my spicy eel addiction. However, this is just what I need, as I hop on the bus to the desert and try to alleviate Sandy's pain, if only by a smidge. Here you go, Sandy, 1 fresh cut ruby for you. I feel a bit off taking a satchel of coins for this, but, you know, I do like me some coins. Anyway, I'll leave you be, much like how how I'm leaving the desert without going skull caverning. Mark it down, 'tis a historic moment of self-control.
Your families wonder where you've been.
Ah, it's nice to be back in the wind and rain. My brain has the retaining capacity of a sieve, as I remember that I need to get some corn for Shane. So, one trip back to my farm later, I find myself in town once more, and also...
I'm back in the fucking building again!
I may have forgotten to buy some replacement wheat, so yeah, I go ahead and do that. Monetary faux pas behind me. I catch Abby on my way out of the shop, who mentions that Sebastian could hear strange music last night. I think the word he's looking for is fabulous, because we killed it. I'd love to stay and chat, however the bookseller is in town once again, and your boy's been stockpiling literature. Despite my best well-educated squirrel impression, what I do get out of this isn't all that interesting. 30 deluxe bait for the Bait and Bobber book, 7 mystery boxes for the Book of Mysteries, and 20 hardwood for Woody's Kama Sutra. Granted, it's all useful, but it's hardly what I would consider sparkling treasure. In addition, I unfortunately still can't justify the absurd prices for the remaining books that are available for sale. So farewell, you extortionate fool! I'm going to spend my money on a more reputable business. No, not right now, good heavens. You'd think I'd spend a penny on this quaffed up waffle? No. I'm here to give Shane his corn. Enjoy your flavourless cob of goodness, my good sir. Thank you for the prize ticket, and do try to survive this day of work, especially since Joja Corp has issued you with the world's most uncomfortable looking sweater. Speaking of uncomfortable, it's time to go and visit Clint and his reputable business. You see, it's uncomfortable because paying Clint anything remotely resembling a compliment might result in a brash humping of your leg. Anyway, my watering can's ready. It gets swiftly replaced by my pickaxe, which is finally going in for its iridium upgrade. That's tool number 3 for the iridium count for those keeping track. I then open the mystery boxes I got earlier since I'm here. Pretty standard stuff. I even get some
Lobster bisque!
as well as another copy of the Book of Mysteries. Hang on. So, I'm sorry for calling you an extortionist and a fool. How about we just trade books and boxes again and we forget about that, okay? Yeah, okay. Round 2 of the mystery box opening goes by quickly, but I do end up getting 30 helpings of deluxe speed grow. I call that a score. Actually, that's not quite true, as my definition of score is the prize ticket from the special request board that I always seem to forget about, and the following cow decal, moo, and omnigeodes I get from the prize machine from dunking my said stash tickets. Looks like my future prize winnings are getting rather exciting too. Neat. Now that I've completed my daily runarounds...
What are you doing?
You saw nothing, bestie. It's about time I clear out Cindersap of its trees and forage. This has been long overdue, and now that I don't need to repeatedly slam my very being into the Skull Cavern floor, lo and behold, I can relax a little bit in the rain. Of course, this tranquil wood chopping doesn't last long, because it's finally time to, and say it with me, open that door! Inside, I'm greeted with what appears to be 5 plaques depicting the various walks of life I've treaded upon, but what catches my eye is a crumpled note just offside of the entryway. I pick it up, only to see that it's written by none other than my ever-present grandfather. In his seemingly omnipotent wisdom, he's prepared this room for me as a, shall we say, rite of passage, through the literal passing on of various tools, gizmos, and secrets acquired throughout his own time in Stardew Valley, passing on the torch to turn Everlasting Farm into a beacon of light for the world to see. Thank you, Grandpa. I may have hardly known you, but you were a pretty cool guy. Looking at this cave in further detail, it would seem that any experience I gain from now on is funneled into a singular line known as the final path. Ooh, ominous. And for every star I acquire, presumably from filling up said final path multiple times, I unlock one of the 5 plaques behind me, along with all the benefits that they may bring. And by the knobbly knees of angry geese, the benefits are incredible. I'll go over this a little more in depth when I actually have to pick one, but I'm not gonna lie, the foraging mastery benefits in particular are looking mighty tasty. So much so that before I know it, I'm back out in the rain, foraging my little heart out. That's what we call a smooth transition. But seriously, which mastery would you pick first? Not that there's even a right answer, I'm just curious. Curiosity, however, doesn't cut down trees, so I use my trusty handy-dandy axe and continue my night by clearing out the area around Hatmouse, buying a festive Christmas hat for next season, clearing all the trees leading up to and around the Wizard's Tower, and in a moment of curiosity, pop inside to see if he had something else to say. He, in fact, did not. Leaving his mystically furnished abode, however, I spot Shane hanging out by the pier. Up late! Make your drinking a beer in the rain at God knows how late. Are you okay? He, in fact, is not. Shane offers me a cold one, which is already a startling contrast from how he's treated me in the past, and begins to open up to me in an alarmingly deep way. Oof, you're hitting a little too close to home there, champ. Can we back it up a little? Okay, full throttle it is. He then expounds further, confiding in me about his struggles with seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and that finding the strength to combat his mental struggles is often impossible. Yep, I'm glad I have that drink. Nope, not fast, just woefully unequipped to tackle this subject matter that is both tactful and entertaining. Add alcoholism to the pile and it's a recipe for disaster just waiting to happen. Luckily, Shane does recognize his limit, if albeit by the behest of his wailing organs, and takes his leave, leaving me both contemplative and significantly soggier than I was. I'm going to take a moment to be completely earnest here, as trying to write about this while still keeping a relatively jovial script, let's just say it's a little bit contradictory. As someone who combats depression on the regular, there's one thing that I implore anyone watching to practice: get it out. Whether that be talking, screaming, writing, recording, absolutely shred your lungs through cathartic release. It doesn't even have to be to someone. Scream at the top of a hill or something. Anything to get those thoughts outside of your brain. It's not much, and this is not a cure-all in the slightest, but you will feel a fraction better by just getting it out of your system. All the love to those of you who are struggling at the moment, and thank you for listening. After being given some food for thought regarding Shane's entire character, I clear up all the trees in the northwest, but find a mysterious question mark looming over the giant stump that's been here since forever. I take a look and it needs 100 pieces of hardwood to fix up. Since I'm a freak who carries hardwood around like a purse, I fix it up right here and now. Turns out I only go and make a whimsical little house, just on the off chance someone might move in. I'm just so quirky like that. Teehee. Future tenants are for future Xal to worry about. As it's getting pretty late, I head back home to see to it that my fishing empire gets seen to, the wheat gets replanted, ores get smelted and stored away, the jars get sold off and replaced, and my Santa hat gets folded neatly into my drawer, before folding into bed snuggled up to Clive, who's being just the cutest little doggo on the pillow right now. Another $4 gets added to my pocket, and I drift off to sleep undeterred by the amount of rainwater I must have trekked into the house. That's gonna take so much work to clean up! Wake up, soggy slinkies. It's another day in Stardew Valley. Just give me 1 second to toast my butt by the fire and pet my cat. What? I've got my priorities in order. Apparently I don't have my dates in order, however, as when I check the morning news, I'm informed that the Spirits Eve Festival is tomorrow. Another event I completely forgot about due to it needing next to no prep. But it's a bit of spooky fun. I'm looking forward to a bit of a well-earned break. Isn't that right, Clive? Oh, wonderful. Another pissy gloomy day. Damp I may be, but my spirits are far from dampened, as I check my mail to see that Lewis has sent me 2,500 gold for being such a delightful human being. His words, not mine. Fun fact, this is a reward for the achievement A Big Help, needing you to complete 40 help wanted requests. I shouldn't be shocked by this, considering I'm practically glued to these damn notice boards, but I am. We're only on day 82. That's like helping someone every other day. Hell, Sandy's so grateful for yesterday's help, she's trying to entice me to come over with coconuts. A younger me would have caved instantly, let me tell you. But adult me is riddled with responsibility and self-doubt. Plus I've got a festival to save my social battery for, so maybe some other time, you delightful desert temptress. After reading my final letter, where Lewis very kindly repeats his tradition of telling me things I learned about just moments before, it's time to chug along with my morning. I first make a small town's worth of stone walkway flooring. Oh yeah, decoration peeps, get salivating. We're doing it today. Well, later today. I gotta do my usual chores, like picking my eggplants full forage and beets, collecting my copper bars, mushroom bags, and marveling at how much wood I have now. Let a guy dream, okay? Yesterday's chopping endeavors really beefed up my stockpile. It's around here I remember I do have autonomy, and there's nothing stopping me from making more dehydrators. So I make 8 more and organize them with about the forethought of a tumbleweed. My expansion efforts continue with checking on my shed to see that it's been fully upgraded now. Look at all that fresh space. Yay! Let's pretend I don't ignore this jar and it's full of blueberries, okay? Okay. Distraction. I get to pick the sweet gemberry that's been growing all season. Happy dance time. Yes, this too was ignored until today, but shut up. The morning goes by pretty uneventfully after this, collecting all my side hustles and petting all my floofy and non-floofy little precious bundles of joy. However, I do have a bit of a gripe. Why oh why can I not display my decorative cow in the place where cows live? What kind of bullshit is this? Let my cows gaze upon their majestic image. I'm going to Cindersap to cool off. I mean, seriously, what kind of nonsense is that? What? One of Rolo's relatives seems to have taken up residence in the treehouse I made yesterday, but he is well, very hungry. But my sympathy shrivels up considering his refined palate wants nothing but mussels and a smoked perch. You can't be a picky bastard when your tummy rumbles are reaching critical levels. I won't be able to feed him properly until winter, so I leave him be for now. I'll have to ask Rolo about him later. For now, as it's Friday, the travelling cart's on my radar, and sound the alarm, people, she has something I want. No, it's not the red cabbage, but it is a coffee bean. The only other way you can get this is from the dust sprites in the frozen caves, and my luck in that department has been sorely lacking. But this is great. I'm one step closer to making the little tea and coffee bar that I've always wanted. Riding that high, I delve into the secret woods. Since I can level up doing anything now, cutting these stumps down is a lot more appealing, but the main reason I'm here is this statue in the back. Remember that sweet gemberry I've spent all season growing? Well, good old Master Cannoli just so happens to be craving the sweetest of snacks. No, I don't know why a statue is wanting a vast intake of sugar. It's best not to question little details like that. Anyway, I smush my berry into his greedy little face hole. His eyes turn red as if to smite me for my wording. However, I'm gifted another star drop, which I of course happily shove into my greedy little face hole, relishing in a metallic taste that reminds me of trophies. Fantastic stuff. With my energy refreshed, I pop over to Marnie's where I buy a second heater for my animals.
Hello, look.
Sure thing, kid. And I head back home to clear out the trees in the bottom right, clear out my mushroom cave, and siphon off some more oak resin. There's still a couple of things I need to take care of before I can buckle down being all creative, like popping into town to sell off a troop of mushrooms. I literally sold all of these yesterday, and I have another 18 today. Good grief. I also head into Robin's because why should I let the poor woman have a day off? Especially when there's a second shed to be built. I'm unsure whether this is going to be the secondary keg and jar shed, or if I'll turn this one into the coffee and tea shop I mentioned earlier. I'll have to see where my whimsy takes me. Hey, future Xal here. I know you guys love it when I show up because it means I've done something stupid or catastrophic. And have no fear because today is no different. This single purchase is going to be the catalyst for the entirety of tomorrow's problems. And current me is cursing past me for this incredible lapse of forethought. But that's for future Xal to talk about. Wait, would it be future Xal's job since this is... Whatever, you get the point. We don't need to dwell on the continuity issues. Get back to it. Did anyone else feel a chill? Anyways, I round up my earlier stone-made pathway to an even 200 because I have mild OCD tendencies, and you better clutch your pearls because it's decorating time. I make a nice 3-wide stone entryway leading into the farm. I think I like this path the most due to it feeling a lot more... purposeful? It matches nicely with the unmovable outer fences I'm apparently stuck with. A little bit annoying, but hey ho. I then make a bit of weathered floor to outline my major crop field. This one I especially love to differentiate between the tillable crop plot and the wild grass. Oops, sorry dwarf, don't mind me. I might have to reconfigure this field later down the line as it's not quite crow-proof, but it's not a big enough problem for it to keep me up at night. The stone pathway gets extended throughout the front of my house, tying this little section together nicely. I don't plan on having my house here forever, but it's a serviceable enough job for the present. Although, another little design gripe here, I do not like this little gap between the different floor types. Like, why doesn't it just connect? Next up on the docket is a bunch of hardwood fences. It's about time I finally fenced in my animals. Realistically, they're getting a lot more space than they need, but you know, why wouldn't you treat animals nicely? Because I'm a smart boy and laid out both the coops and the fish ponds in textbook perpendicular fashion, it's easy to make a nice big old pen for my babies. However, because I'm a dumb boy and I've changed my mind as to how I want my final fish pond setup to end up, it's a bit lopsided for now. Do you want to see me get stumped by fence gates?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Just remember, I chose to let you in on this vulnerable moment of idiocy. Give me that fruit. I get a little side gate connected, install the heaters for the animals, and rig up the last bit of metallic fencing at the bottom of the ponds, only to check the time and see that it's 1 a.m. That did not feel like 6 in-game hours of decorating. I refuse to believe that. Well, it's a start at least, and since Kronos couldn't give a singular dookie about my perception of time, all I can do is protest by going into my cake shed and pretending my body clock doesn't exist. Which goes about as well as politics at the dinner table. The day ends with me receiving a fat old goose egg in the monetary department. I guess I was too busy paving the way to tomorrow. Get it? Because I was placing a lot of pathing down. We're doing more decorating tomorrow, please come back. Well, look who came back. It's the penultimate day of fall, and with it comes a whole host of fun activities ahead. The spirits aren't in the mood for my shenanigans, but that's okay. We can't all be awesome. Ooh, my farm's looking fresh ish. Harvey found me last night and lined his pockets once again with his finder's fee. Although out of the options available, I'm glad I'm being billed by a pillar of the community. Speaking of, Jody sent me some fertilizer. Is it the best? Not even close, but it's a gift from a lovely woman, so I'm grateful nonetheless. Now then, let's talk about today. The Spirits Eve Festival starts at 10 PM tonight, and as such I'm banned from entering town today while they set up, meaning I've got a whole day to myself to be a decorative little hermit. So let's get all these randomly splodged machines out of here, pick the last grapes of the season, and remove this conglomerate of fungi fun time. I extend my newly paved path to pass all the way through to where the backwards start as Archibald stares at me intensely as I do so. Feeling his eyes on the back of my neck, I turn around to see that the final pumpkins of the season are fully grown. I think Archie's grown quite fond of his newfound pumpkin patch, making what I'm about to do all the more mean. I know, man, I'm sorry, but if I don't pick these now, they'll wither and die anyway in 2 days. Please cut me some slack, I'm trying my best. Destroying Archibald's happiness doesn't bring me joy, but my kegs crave pumpkins, so another win for capitalism. Moving on from that debacle, I set up a temporary station for all of my animal products to process because by the ever-present threat of lactose intolerance, I have a buttload of processing to catch up on. While I play catch-up, I see to my animals as per usual, but when all the coop residents are busy munching grass, I take the liberty to decorate my very first coop. I mean, I came to the farm with this coop. Hell, the chickens lived here before I did. They deserve a little treat. Using some of the spare weathered flooring, I mark out a little section where some hardwood fencing is placed, making a nice little divide among the space, and fill in the rest of the floor with some straw. Now they're gonna be extra comfy. Eventually I'll add some hay bales and some other decoratives, but most of what I want to work with is locked behind the various catalogs vendors sell. I'm making decent money, but not enough to justify those sort of impulse buys. While I'm on the subject of money, I've got a bit of an issue. You see, the Spirits Eve event will have a spooky themed rarecrow, similar to the other ones I've been collecting, but I don't have enough money to buy it, and remember, the town is off limits, so I can't get any more until the event is over, or because I wanted another shed. Curse you, brain, and your need for expansion! I do, however, get a thought. I know, dangerous. I have a smattering of fish ready to sell, and I have some beach warp totems. Willy can solve all of my problems. I'm recording this at, like, midnight. I really should not be shouting that with everyone asleep right now. I hurriedly teleport away with fish in tow, sprint past a season's worth of beach forage. Listen, it's easily forgettable. Knock on Willy's door, and god damn it, it's Saturday! Well, it was a good idea. I console myself by rummaging around, only to find this machine in the back, which lets me change my fishing rod's bobber style. I picked the duck. I like ducks. Resigned to my fate of not getting the rarecrow for this upcoming event, I meander the beach kicking sand, dig up a lost book because of fucking course someone buried it on the beach, and traipse around upset that my pockets are too full to pick up any of the abundant sea goodies. At least I remembered to bring the farm warp totem so I can leave. Seriously, I would have been stuck here until 10 PM otherwise. Back on the farm once again, I dump an absurd haul into the shipping bin. I mean, look at this! I'm gonna be rolling in it tomorrow, and set about filling in the remainder of my time doing some farm maintenance with a dash of beautification. Plop my crystallarium there, grab all the truffles my chunky pig snuffed out, spindle some wool, and mayo some nays. I make a bunch of cobblestone pathing and try out a little detailing of my enclosure. Gotta admit, I like the cobblestone, but I'm not sold on how it looks on grass. I'll have to play around with this some more. More cheese, a little shimmy shimmy yeah, shimmy yeah, shimmy yeah. Only copper, alright. And the start of the south exit pathway later, and just like that, it's 9 PM, and I'm about to do something unprecedented. Oh my god, he's neatly organizing all of his machines. Gosh, he's so neat and tidy. How does he do it? What a guy! Hold your applause, people. I know, being tidy isn't a skill I've displayed up until now, and one could argue I still haven't. An organized mess is still a mess after all. Jokes aside, right now is when I get a genius idea. There is one more merchant who isn't in town, someone who might just be able to help with my monetary problem. Grasping at this final straw, I collect a few artifacts and knickknacks, and clutch another warp totem close to my chest. This time one for the mountains. But before I can enact on my plan, my teleport plunks me right near Linus, who beckons me over to warm up by the fire. It's been a while since I've chatted with him. How's the blackberry basket treating you, you wild beast? Linus then abruptly opens up to me, apologizing for his lack of trust in me due to how he's been treated in the past, and remarks on my weird and empathetic nature, calling me a dear friend in the process. Aw, Linus, stop! That's so sweet, man! You were one of the first people I got to know since coming to the valley, and I'm glad to call you a friend. Oh? By all means, lead on, my friend. I beg your finest fucking pardon. Oh yeah? You don't say. Here I thought it was some sort of masturbate. Anywho, he generously teaches me how to make wild bait, and I leave Squelch Tent feeling slightly sick. Yay, friendship! Like I was saying, my last-ditch effort to make some quick cash comes from visiting the dwarf. Turns out you can't actually sell stuff to him, so that's just really unpickled my gherkin. With there being no time left for any other plans, I warp back home and make my way, if albeit begrudgingly, into town. Welcome to the Spirits Eve Festival, a spooktacular spectacle of the scary and supernatural. Decorated head to toe in all sorts of Halloweeny finery, he has brought back his usual booth. I kinda missed you from the last event. It's right there and I can't afford it. And I missed out on a fancy rug too. Oh, the humanity. I do yoink the jack-o'-lantern recipe along with a couple of gravestones as a small consolation prize. Maybe I'll get the others next year. The town set up a skeleton cage, which raises all sorts of questions for me. The most prominent being why everyone is okay with actual skeletons walking around like it's perfectly normal. Most of the adults and younger kids are gathered around a feast, as they're not too keen on exploring this event's primary fun time, the maze. But they're having fun in their own way. Shane's on the hunt for more alcohol. I can't unpack that right now. Leah's stuffing her face with blackberries. You go, girl. And Emily's carved all the jack-o'-lanterns for tonight. Hey, good on you. They look great. But I don't plan on socializing all night. I've got a maze to be amazed by. I'm curious as to who trimmed these hedges because they are immaculate. I bet it was Marlon. He seems like he'd have a proper green thumb. Oh. Okay, that's not quite what I meant, but sure. I make my way through the maze, impressed by the amount of horror references jam-packed into one space. The cabin in the woods, the TV from The Ring, the fountain. Yeah, okay, maybe that one's a bit of a stretch. Oh damn, Abby's afraid of spiders? Adding that to the fun facts about Abby folder. Swerving past the arachnids and shimmying through the gravesite, I'm met with a hedge which, observed from first person, would be a really shit obstacle. If you're taking notes up there, Mr. Wizard, and you should because Lewis said you built this maze, maybe lose the dead end hedge obstacle. Also, this tunnel to get to the end, technically it's not a hedge, so it shouldn't be part of a hedge maze. Sure that my words fall on deaf ears, I emerge from the hedge tunnel into the final part of this bushy labyrinth, which houses my prize for a maze well mazed. A golden pumpkin! Maybe this will finally get me into Archie's good books. One minecart trip back to the entrance, and with that I've exhausted everything this event has to offer, so I bid everyone farewell and slink off into the night. With only the dregs of the day remaining, I set up my seed makers along my newly formed path, insert an entire season's worth of grapes into my dehydrators, and indulge my sweet tooth, devouring an entire pink cake before bed. No post-festival tradition this time. Instead, I'ma snuggle up with Bobbles and bask in the glow of the riches that enter my bank account, albeit a day too late. But hey, a fat wallet going into the final day of the season is in itself a tradition. Arise from dreamland, you sour little lemon squares. Today's the last day of fall. It's been a long season, jam-packed with all sorts of adventures, and in true end-of-season fashion, I want to take a moment to thank you all for watching. I'm so eternally grateful for all the love and support, and can't thank you enough for joining me on this absolute behemoth of a series. It takes a lot of time and effort to make these, and the fact that it's enjoyed as much as it is makes all my effort worth it, you know? I hope I can continue to be worthy of your time and attention, and that I'm making something that just keeps improving. You're all awesome, thank you so much for watching, and let's get to it, because it's time to end the fall season with a bang. The day starts with me checking my favourite Sunday morning cooking show, and learning how to make artichoke dip. Gotta say, I'm a bit indecisive with this one. On the one hand, it reminds me an awful lot like cauliflower cheese, or even guacamole in terms of both texture and certain flavours. However, on the other hand, I'd rather just have those instead. I'll give it a 6 out of 10 on the Xalwood Munch scale. You can't go wrong with a cheesy base. And besides, Queen Sauce over here seems quite enthusiastic regarding her guzzling habits, so who am I to argue with the Queen? While I'm on the subject of food, I must include a rating for the fried eel that George oh so generously sent me the recipe for a few days ago, as I plumb forgot. 1 out of 10, Zal would vomit profusely. While not as bad of a score as escargot, fried eel for all intents and purposes might as well just be a giant cooked worm. The only reason it gets a 1 is due to the very real possibility of it being served in a way that doesn't make it look like a superstitious ritual to appease a roaming hydra. Keep your wiggly sea demon, I think I'd rather drink out of a cement mixer. With that lovely image, paired with the spirit's jubilant attitude and roaring sunshine, let's crack on with the chores of the day. Cue the music, editing man. Oh shit, I left the gates open. Nah! Ah, stop biting my toe, you little slippery shits. I'm trying to give you more friends. Ah! There's nothing quite like a little morning montage to put some pep in my step. A couple of things worth noting is that I cut down my fruit trees, which will get replanted in my greenhouse over winter, and I checked the travelling cart and got my Bajimbus bejorkled from the lack of red cabbage. Although that was slightly mitigated by the realization that the rare crows are sold here, so hope's not lost for last night's abject failure. Also, everything's better with a little bit of fruit
Salad. Yummy, yummy.
Other than that, it's just been a very big collection day. Poor Bobbles is tuckered out just from watching. I dash about retrieving some meals from the fridge and sorting out my sellables, the usual backbone organisational matters, and I've also saved the last cranberry harvest of the season for future kegging and dehydrating. There's a lovely little profit split between the different rarities of these berries, although I'm still working through summer's blueberry batch, which I'm only now realising can also be dehydrated. Son of a behold, my glorious stack of artisanals! These will make a pretty penny. The last thing left to do is to collect all of my Skull Cavern equipment, because I've decided I want to spend the last day of fall trying to beat my current Skull Cavern floors record. But first, we must visit town. Ya, Cyclopolot, ya! I run into Abby, who's thinking about dyeing her hair. I give it a little thought, and blonde Abby just seems wrong to me. Black's leaning a little on the edgy side, and I don't think she just wants me to gas up the purple. So I suggest bubblegum pink. I mean, it's not too different from purple, right? And I reckon she could pull it off. So I got laughed at. Yeah, it was a joke. Definitely wasn't an earnest moment of thought and consideration at all. Anyway, hey, Leah's walking about down here, which is rare. What's up? There's a lot of good places to walk around here. Leah, do you know where you are? You know whose domain this is, right? That's right, it's Clint and his sweaty man odor that clogs up my nostrils. But he has my iridium pickaxe, so I'll tolerate the smell of beef and day-old eggs just for today. Look at all the shiny tools I got this month. And there's more to come, but not today. I'm saving my money for more pressing endeavors. More on that next season. For now though, as my business in town has concluded, let's do a couple of transportation jump cuts and boom, I'm in the desert ready to set some records. After I visited my second favourite desert vendor, of course, who by the way I've recently learnt sells unique stock every day of the week. Sundays are for staircases, perfect for my immediate need, albeit at the cost of my jade supply. One ritualistic eel meal later, and I'm in the caverns doing a good old spelunk. The overarching theme of today's endeavours can be summed up by Disney's Lightning McQueen.
Speed. I am speed.
As my commitment to leveling up combat can finally take a back seat. I'm still going out of my way to slay any serpent I come across, of course. That red cabbage isn't going to find itself after all. For the most part, however, if I see a hole or the ladders, I'm making a beeline for it. With that in mind, let's roll the highlight reel. Floor 6 is an infested floor, overrun with a grand total of 4 monsters, completely and utterly overwhelming the area. Floors 9 and 10 have back-to-back cold carts. Yes, I do find that exciting. Shut up. And a swarm of serpents attack me not long after. Oh no, please stop attacking me. I would hate to cull your entire species in pursuit of a vegetable. No! I'm using my bought staircases to dip out of the cinnamon swirl floors because
Ain't nobody got time for that.
whilst making sure I retrieve any and all jade gemstones I come across to recoup my losses. This, combined with finding the way down almost instantaneously, makes up the bulk of the experience from floors 12 to 25. 26, on the other hand, I get to experience Serpents the sequel. Oh no, that's the last thing I wanted. As well as absolutely embarrass a little imposter crab. Get out of here, you goob! Crab slaughter is about the only noteworthy thing that happens as I blast through floor after floor of goodies and beasties. It's a bit insane to say that floors 27 through to 44 were a blur of resources and good exit luck, but it truly was. Floor 45 had a dinosaur on it. That's cool. And floor 47 one-upped that by having both a dino and 2 diamond nodes. I wish I could say floor 50 followed the one-upping. However, I just found another lost book. Who the hell is reading in this cave? This is one of the only locations where I can understand how the books are lost, but I'm completely stumped as to why you are reading a book with the very real danger of being eaten alive being ever present. I need to make my own library. Show books in this town some love. Book rage set aside for another day. It's not until I reach floor 52 where I find something new. A new floor layout. Look at all those tracks. It's new. It's exciting. It's, oh my god, it's filled with bats and crabs. Felling the crab yields some crab cakes. Nice. But slaying the roided out bats reveals what I knew to be true all along. The iridium bats use performance enhancing substances to beef up into little buff bats. Consider this contraband confiscated. There's only a small portion left of the night, so I make one final push to set a new record. Something I noticed though is that those iridium bats seem to be flooding throughout the regular floor floors, replacing their bloody counterparts. I guess it's due to how deep I am? Do all monsters in the cave upgrade in the same way? I'm not too sure, it's something to think about. The clock strikes 1 and I'm able to reach floor 60, which is indeed a new personal best. Hooray for me! Woo! Before teleporting home, chuffed to bits. The final adventure of the season sees that my pockets are completely filled to the brim with shinies. Shinies which do in fact weigh me down as I hurriedly rush to close in my animals for the night. With time ticking ever onward, I shuffle my aching body toward my bed, snuggle underneath Bubbles, and drift off to sleep, making over 30 grand today from Fool's final batch of goods. And with that, the crisp autumn season comes to a close, as winter rears its head ready for its turn to continue this story. We finally made it, people! Fall is now officially over, and we've clocked 84 highly edited, scripted, and drastically in-depth recounting of days onto the count. So let's have a little chat about my thoughts on this series and where we're gonna go from here. I'm extremely happy with the quality and overall vibe of the season. The time it's taken to do so, however, is another story. I think the gap between completed seasons this time is, what, 8 or 9 months? Which is so great. I love how long this has taken. It definitely doesn't bug me at all. Ha 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 ha. I've been somewhat consistent with roughly a day every week on average, and a lot of the time taken between these has been me staring at a script trying to keep things fresh and interesting. I mean, just take a look at what I'm looking at right now. Pages upon pages of previous script to pull from, cross-referencing anything from past events to language used, and spacing out all the different running gags, edits, and one-liners is basically what's making this take so long. I mentioned this briefly during Summer's End, but with a game like Stardew Valley, it's built on repetition and routine, which is great for chill gameplay, but an absolute nightmare for detailed commentary. Suffice it to say, trying to constantly improve my vernacular to freshen up my script writing, combined with being this deep into a project which has already gone over a lot of the more rudimentary commentary aspects, it's exhausting and a prime stage for burnout to really set in. Sometimes I just need to write or work on other projects as a bit of a mental refresh, you know? With all that being said, this is so fun for me to make. I love playing the game, I love talking about it, I love the reactions from all of you, and I especially love that I'm proud of what I'm making. Sure, this season's runtime is 3 hours and 21 minutes, but that's 3 hours and 21 minutes of content and writing I am truly and unabashedly excited to share. The Stardew Valley Fair and Day 77 being my personal favourites, as I really let you all in on what an absolute nerd I truly am. And a lot got done during fall. I hit 1 million total earnings, albeit at the buzzer, maxed out all of my skills, and I have a 4-way tie for best friendship. In fact, quite a few of the friendships have really skyrocketed. Well, it can't all be good news, I guess. The farm's progress is honestly a little bit staggering. I put Robin to work every chance I could get once again, and that's really been a boon to my farm's infrastructure. My animal area is almost complete, having 2 sheds right now is sick, the greenhouse is slowly coming together, and the slime hutch, whilst being a bit of a slow burn, has had enough attention put into it that winter is where it'll really get the chance to bear fruit. The most important win of the season, though, is that I got so many new farm animals! And Bubbles, who's just been the cutest little guy! It's been a good season. On to the big question I've been asked a lot though, what's next? More specifically, am I going to keep going past 100 days? The simple answer is absolutely. The plan is to get all of the new trophies added in 1.6, which includes achieving perfection. Consider that the end goal, however long this takes. So please don't worry about this series disappearing after 100 days. As long as I'm happy with the end result, I'll keep pumping these out. Also, side note, I really hate the idea of stopping right in the middle of winter. I mean, what kind of end would that be? I think I'm gonna do the full 112 days for the big mega video of my first year. However, this is all contingent on my satisfaction with the quality and everything I previously mentioned which coincides with it. I can't really give out a time frame now on when these release, but just know they are nearly always being worked on in the background and that I really truly appreciate all of your patience and support. You put your money on the slow horse, I'm afraid, but I'll get to the finish line eventually, I promise. Anyway, speaking of the future, look at my plans for my farm. I showed this briefly during the fair day, but I've got a much better idea on where I want everything to go. I do want to preface that nothing material on here is set in stone, like the specific pathways I'll use, or shed roof colours, you know, like the finer details. But the overall layout I'm really happy with. I have started designing a lot of the interiors. Here, take a look at this one. I'm definitely erring on the side of aesthetic over efficiency and have a good idea on where my focus needs to be going forward to make stuff like this happen. So I've done future Xals solid in that department. In the meantime, if you have any questions about what my plans for the farm are, please feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to divulge out my plans and receive any feedback. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap this up. I'm already in the process of recording winter, but while I'm busy doing that, if you want to keep up with the days as they come out, you can by heading over to the site which allows me to do this in the first place. Because God forbid I want to post shorts longer than a singular minute on here. Every single day is up there in short form, so get binging at Xaladin Gaming, you courageous little woodlouse. Or don't, be a strong independent thinker. Regardless, thank you all so much for watching, I hope you've enjoyed, and until next time, take care and have a damn good day.